Alinda porko kina balwe yo, etime ojama dengeka. Ojama bina mate, ojama ya bina mate. Ojama ke jam wakuna mejawab kejia kepada panu juga. Oinanya berdani benda, malinirna ontur jir mana bendakin. Apa tidak oinanya berdani benda, oinanya berdani benda, malinirna ontur jir mana bendakin. Apa tidak Alinda porko kina balwe yo, etime ojama dengeka. Ojama bina mate, ojama ya bina mate. Ojama ke jam Pinyi jenu bai jam nitki, wega chalwe lewi kuriam. Taku batwing, tapo gaweno, yetiel kwa gayet kubato. Tapo gawen tiel kwa gayet.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Billy Luke. I'm actually coming live to come and brief you a little bit. You can see the topic there. Topic is stated very clearly, the oil company buries the evidence of the oil pollution in South Sudan. So I have one of the developing news here that the oil company in South Sudan have actually tried to bury the evidence of the oil pollution in South Sudan. So I would like to read out here one of the article posted so far. It was written in Paloch, South Sudan, by the AP News. So air so full it is hard to take a deep breath. Toxic chemical seeping into the earth. Mothers giving birth to disabled children. These are the suspected effects of the pollution from South Sudan oil industry that I was determined to document. The people I spoke to in the oil pumping area in the country northeast were desperate to describe how their life had been harmed by the pollution and how they could not get help. One woman shouted at me from across the yard as I emerged from her neighborhood house. Had I come there to save them, she has. I had been reporting in South Sudan for nearly 2 years and learned that the rampant pollution in the area was suspected of being linked to the increased number of children born with the deformities and residents dying from unknown diseases. So I want to find out what was going on by meeting with people who live near the oil field. Oil is South Sudan's main source of income, accounting for more than 40% of its GDP. Almost all of it export, according to the World Bank. The government did not want any reporting that was critical of the lucrative business. Getting to this area was challenging, as it has a heavy military presence. Few journalists have been able to report from there, especially since the civil war broke out in 2013. I spent 4 days in Paloch and the nearby town of Maluth, interviewing community leaders, residents, mothers who had lost children, and doctors who delivered deformed babies. I saw a junkyard full of chemicals that were seeping into the ground. Junkyard full of chemicals that were seeping into the ground. The air was so toxic, I was coughing for days afterward. This is the journalist narrating his own personal experience in the oil producing area right inside Paluch. So the air was so toxic, I was coughing for days afterward. This is an experience from the journalist who was actually reporting on the ground at that particular time. The day I was scheduled to fly back to South Sudan capital, Juba, I was detained by a number of the country National Security Service at the airport in Paluch. I was taken to a small room in the airport and forced to hand over my phone, laptop, iPad, camera, and notebook. I was allowed to board the plane to Juba, but my belongings stayed behind. The security agent wanted to prevent me from publishing what I had witnessed. Back in Juba, I still faced trouble. South Sudan National Security Service confiscated my passport, and for the next 11 days, I was not able to leave the country and was called into the security offices many times for questioning. At the end of the day, I was allowed to go home and sleep. At first, I was questioned by members of the oil company, national security arms, and later by the country internal security bureau. Intelligence officers within national security are two separate facilities in Juba. My belongings were flown from Paluch, and I was forced to show the interrogators what was in my phone, camera, iPad, laptop, and notebooks. They accused me of working to prolong the civil war. They wanted to know my motive for talking to local residents about problems in the oil field, and they asserted that the people I interviewed were lying about the condition they live in. The security official refused to let me leave South Sudan for a scheduled reporting trip to Ethiopia. They threatened to send me to jail and told me I wouldn't be going anywhere for a very long time. Eventually, I was released and my belongings returned to me. I was warned that if I ever wrote about pollution in South Sudan oil field, there would be consequences. Most notably, I would never be allowed back in the country. I was torn about what to do. I was torn about what to do. That means this journalist was teared down. So this is a present past tense of the tear, like when you are being teared into pieces or something like that. So I was torn about what to do. That means he was actually being devastated by the warning given to him by the security agent. So should I write the story immediately and get thrown out, or stay in South Sudan longer and continue reporting on the civil war and the faltering peace process, and use my time in the country to further investigate the oil field? I decided to stay, and for the next year, kept digging up material for the oil pollution story. Then later October, South Sudan kicked me out, probably last year, October of last year. This is the narrative from the journalist who was actually on the ground in Paluch. While it was stressful, I was lucky that I was never physically assaulted or threatened. South Sudanese journalists, activists, and people who speak out against the government can be arbitrarily detained, tortured, killed, and thrown in jail for years. I am deeply grateful to everyone who supported and helped me during that time, including South Sudanese who did so at great personal risk. I was fortunate to have been able to report for as long as I did in the country and get to know and learn from the people of South Sudan who yearn for peace and stability. Even though I risked being banned permanently from South Sudan, I felt compelled to tell the story of the potentially devastating effect of the oil pollution. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is actually the story. This is the story published by one of the journalists that was physically and technically on the ground in Paloch, Afanal State, South Sudan. This journalist was actually there. Maybe his motive was actually to cover the civil war in South Sudan, as well as also investigating the negative effects of the oil pollution in the country. And so you have heard his story. His narrative stated very clearly that he came under so many harassment, intimidation, and many other threats he was facing during the course of his stay in the country. So his main mission was actually to investigate the negative effects of the oil pollution in the area. I would like to read to you another report. The report says this: South Sudan Buries a report on oil pollution and best defects. So this is another article that I want to read out to you. So stay tuned as I'm going through this. For Loy, South Sudan, the oil industry in South Sudan has left a landscape pocket with hundreds of open waste pits, the water and the soil contaminated with toxic chemical and heavy metal, according to 4 environmental reports obtained by the Associated Press. So this journalist was actually from Associated Press. All of you are aware of this news outlet, so-called Associated Press. Is one of the international press which goes around the world and report on so many numerous news that go around the world. So the report also describes alarming birth defects, miscarriages, and other health problems among residents of the region and soldiers who have been stationed there. Is trying to give you one of the illustration here. Abu Mau Kweth Enpanson Ping was born with 6 fingers on both hands, 1 stunted legs, a deformed foot, and kidney swelling. Are you listening to this? This is one of the typical examples. This is one typical example about the negative effects of the oil pollution in the area. So the journalist was actually reporting this incident. One of the victims, Abu Mau Kweth Inpanson Ping, was born with 6 fingers. A child was born with 6 fingers. You know, human beings have 5 fingers, right? But as a result of deformity, this little boy, an infant, was born with 6 fingers as a result of deformity. And then on both hands, not just one hand, on both hands. So 1 stunted legs. The other leg was actually curved like a bowl, you know, and a deformed foot. The foot was also deformed as well. And the kidney was swelling. He was born with a swelling kidney. So the kidney was swelling. It was born that way. So the journalist said that I was shocked the first time I saw the baby, she said, cradling him in her arm. I am worried about his future. The journalist goes on. So this is a long story. Let me continue to read it. Let me read more. The Associated Press obtained the report and supporting document from people with close knowledge of the oil operation one of whom work in the industry, they have never been released publicly. South Sudan is running one of the dirtiest and poorest managed oil operation on the planet, said Igbad Waselim, the former head of the European coalition of more than 50 non-profit organizations focused on the impact of the country oil sector. I don't think there is a single major industrial operation on earth that is getting away with this, he said. This is a journalist. I mean, this is one of the former head of European coalition of more than 50 non-profit organizations focused on the impact of the country oil sector. Is the one giving this testimony to the journalist. I don't think there is a single major industrial operation on earth that is getting away with this. He was actually lamenting the situation he has actually witnessed it technically on ground in Afanal State in particular. Yes, there is no any industrial company in this world that can actually go as far as polluting the atmosphere, the water sources, and the soil, and get away with it without paying the consequences for doing that, for actually polluting the environment. So there has been no clear link established between the pollution and the health problem. It's trying to cite scientific, evidence that can actually link the cause of these birth defects in the pregnant women's, what caused the deformity, what caused the miscarriages, and what caused the kidney, the organ of the body of the infant to swell. Nothing has been tested scientifically yet. So this was just an hypothetical statement made by this manager as well as the journalist. But community leaders and lawmakers in the oil-rich areas in Upper Nile and Unity State accused South Sudan government and the two main oil consortium, the Chinese-led Dar Petroleum Operating Company and the Greater Pioneer Operating Company, of neglecting the issue and trying to silence those who have tried to expose the problem. An AP reporter was detained and questioned by government officials and government security forces working on behalf of the oil companies. An AP reporter, the journalist, was detained and questioned by government officials and government security forces working on behalf of the oil company. Neither company responded to multiple requests for comment on the report and did not answer detailed questions sent by email and text from the AP. The report showed that the government and the oil companies have been aware for years that contamination from drilling could be causing severe health problems, but little has been done to clean up the mess. Little has been done to clean up the mess. Waste speech. Sorry guys, somebody is calling me. I want to finish this before I make any phone call or before I pick up any phone call from anyone. Sorry. The report showed that the government and the oil companies have been aware for years that contamination from oil drilling could be causing severe health problems, but little has been done to clean up the mess. That was a serious matter. Little has been done by the oil company as well as the government of South Sudan to actually clean up the water sources that are contaminated by the oil chemical, as well as the pollution of the atmosphere and the contamination of the soil as well. So waste pit, birth defects. Now we want to talk about the waste pit. The oil company have actually dug some of the of the pit whereby they dispose this oil residue. The oil-rich area around Paluch, a city in Afan state, is dotted with a faucet pool of toxic water. You know what I mean? There is a pool of standing water, and this standing water is the toxic water because it is actually containing the chemical that leak from the oil field. So this is actually what can result in animal coming to that pool and drink that water. And that water, when it comes during the rainy season, this pool get overflow, and then it start contaminating the soil, and then it leak into the water sources in the nearby area. And this is how the main water sources where the local people actually go and fetch water for their drinking and other consumption. So a chemical junkyard in Gamari town, about 45 minutes from Paluch, was strewn with the overflowing containers of black sludge that seeped into the ground and were surrounded by toxic waste. When an AP reporter visited in September 2018, we are losing children, said Nyawir, said Nyawira Yi Monluak, chairman of the Women Association in Maluth. So the 43 years old lost 2 children of her own between 2008 and 2011. She and a dozen other women crowned on a tattered L-shaped sofa in a dimly lit shed in Maluth, told harrowing stories. Very devastating stories were told by these women inside their rooms. This is just a journalist reporting. So Sikh had lost babies in the last 10 years, and all of them knew someone who had struggled to conceive, had a miscarriage, or had given birth to a child with deformities such as stunted limbs or concave skull. Concave skull, like when you have a deformed head. So concave skull mean that the shape of your head is actually being made in an irregular way that does not look normal to the human head. So that's what it means, concave skull. Some of you can imagine that. You might have seen some of the photos out there. I wish I can actually make a documentary whereby I can actually show you the pictures exactly. These are the real pictures which are being depicted here in this journalistic report. So the studies. The 2 hell-year survey were performed in 2013 and 2016 by South Sudan government. They found oil pollution across the region, and soil and water sample show contamination, including mercury level in the water were 7 times what is permissible under the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency standard. You heard that, right? These are the evidence. This is about the studies, the finding that was actually discovered by this one of these agents that made a collection of example of contaminated water and soil and the air. These samples were actually collected, and when they were tested, they came positive. So the result was actually positive. That means samples show contamination, including the mercury level. The mercury level in the water were 7 times what is permissible under a U.S. Environmental Protection Agency standard. So this researcher who made this finding, came to compare it with the American standard way of protecting the environment. So this passed the permissible level of mercury level according to the United States Environmental Protection Agency standard. So local residents reported increased, according to the report of the local people on the ground, in the oil producing area, particularly in Napanal state, in Malus, reported increased miscarriages. There were so many miscarriages among the pregnant women in this oil producing area. Stillbirths were so common. An incident of malformed newborn babies. Some of you have seen that. Malformed babies, that means babies with a irregular body. You know, their shape doesn't look like a normal human. Some of you might have seen those kind of pictures being presented so far in many pictures that have been circulated on the Facebook. So that didn't survive. These babies didn't survive, and soldiers stationed there were also falling sick. You know, even the government troops of South Sudan that are also deployed around the oil producing area are also falling sick because they are suffering from the same pollution in the area. And imagine, those are the very same soldiers, the government soldiers, that are also preventing the people to report. Or they are the one undermining the journalists that come in the area, or anybody that come and try to do anything to do with the finding of environmental pollution in the area. These are the very same people that are trying to suppress the journalists as well as the community activists or leaders that want to speak out against the oil pollution in the area. And the very same government official, including the government soldiers, are also falling sick as well. Because the atmosphere, the air in which they are breathing is also contaminated as well. Let alone the fact that the water sources and the soil itself are all contaminated. So everybody is at risk, whether you are a government official or whether you are a national security forces being deployed there, or whether you are a government troop. Let's not talk about even the local people, because these are the most people that are so brave enough that come out there and speak against the oil pollution. But look how ridiculous it is that the very same government is trying to cover it up. Yet the government official on the ground in Afanal, including Ruwing area, are also suffering, you know, including the government forces. So this actually beat the logic, it beat the common sense that people should be actually uniting over this particular threat caused by the environmental pollution. So let me continue. In July 2018, Greater Pioneer, which is comprised of the state-owned China National Petroleum Corporation, the Malaysian state-owned Petronas, as well as South Sudanese and Indian drillers, commissioned a study that found significant oil spillage and water pollution at the waste treatment facility at some oil operation that had been abandoned during the Civil War. A November 2018 report commissioned by the Dar Petroleum found extremely high level of hydrocarbon. Extremely high level of hydrocarbon, a chemical such as benzene that make up oil and natural gas and can cause serious health effects. It is also documented 650 use pits filled with water contaminated with arsenic and lead, and millions of liters of water contaminated with the drilling chemical sitting in the pond. South Sudan oil industry instructed Dar Petroleum to move ahead with the proposed cleanup, according to a December 2018 letter seen by the AP. AP is actually the press that is actually doing the report on the ground. But Dar Petroleum, a consortium that includes China state-owned China National Petroleum and Sinopec, along with the companies in Malaysia and Egypt and South Sudan state-owned company, never acted. You see the report? although the government of South Sudan actually ordered hello? Anto live.
Oh, in the live, man?
Aye. Yes, sorry guys. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody interrupted me with a phone call. Yeah, so let me go ahead and South Sudan owned company never acted. You see, the government of South Sudan actually issue a decree urging the oil operating companies, including that of South Sudan, to actually start the cleaning up of the water sources, the soil, and also the atmosphere to be cleaned up. You know, unfortunately, these oil operating companies never acted, according to two people with a close knowledge of the oil operation in the area who didn't want to be named for fear of their safety. You see, you know, the very same people that were actually reporting this, you know, they don't want to reveal their name as well, because the South Sudan national security agencies are also intimidating people not to actually speak the truth or confront anyone or confront the oil operating companies for their failures to actually implement the intended order by the government of South Sudan. So this is why it is quite complicated here. It's very complicated here in this case, because one do not exactly understand who actually issued or who granted who issued the order in order to allow the cleaning up of the environment, the polluted environment. And at the same time, the very same company failed to carry out the cleaning up of the environment, even though it was the same government that issued the order to enable the cleaning up of the polluted environment. But the very same government official that were actually being put in charge of supervising the cleaning up of the environment ended up being intimidated, you know, and that's why they remain anonymous. They don't even want to say their name, who they were, for fearing that they may be taken away by the security service and they will be prosecuted for speaking up the truth. But at the same time, it appears here that the government actually issued an order or granted the order to give a green light to the cleaning up of the polluted environment. So that means the government was not honest. They were not sincere about the order they gave so that the environment can be cleaned up by the oil operating company. So that means the oil company never acted, according to two people with a close knowledge of the oil operation in the area who didn't want it to be named for fear of their safety. AAP sent a detailed question to China National Petroleum Corporation and Sinopec, but neither company responded. You see? So that means the Chinese company and the Sinopec, which I believe is the company of the Malaysian government, when they were sent a detailed questionnaire by the AAP reporter or journalist, you know, these two companies failed to answer this questionnaire sent by these journalists, the AAP journalist or reporter. That means they choose to remain silent, never want to say anything. That means either they were muted or they were censored not to speak about anything pertaining to the oil pollution. Public health emergency. There is no definitive proof that the pollution caused the health problem. This is from the scientific analysis or hypothetical scientific analysis or a hypothesis that these journalists has not come to the conclusion that any kind of death or miscarriage or birth deformity that is actually being witnessed in the oil producing area, there is no scientific evidence that can prove that all these were actually caused by the oil pollution. The reason is the journalists didn't want to be judgmental or to be conclusive prior to taking the sample to the medical laboratory, whereby they can actually determine this through scientific experimentation. So they would rather take this sample that was collected from the contaminated water sources as well as the soil and the atmosphere. They have to take those samples to the laboratory for testing. Once that is done, that's when they can come back and make a report based on the scientific confirmation of that sample experimentation in the lab, in the medical lab. So that's why the journalists, the AP journalists, fell short not to make a conclusion, because they have to be professional, which I understand. They are following the ethics of report. You know, you cannot just make a conclusive report without evidence that is going to back you up when you are actually being questioned. So this journalist was actually trying to be professional as well as ethical in following all the principle, professional principle, of report. So South Sudan crippling 5-year civil war killed almost 400 people, displaced millions, and plunged pocket of the country into famine. But Rick Steiner, an oil pollution advisor in Alaska, said there is a substantial medical literature linking hydrocarbon exposure with birth defects. This is one of the American petroleum geology in United States of America, particularly in Alaska, where major oil drilling company are stationed or based in the United States, made this statement based on his personal experience that there is a substantial medical literature linking hydrocarbon exposure with the birth defects. This is based on his experience and his knowledge as someone who is actually working in the petroleum in Alaska, United States of America. So that means any hydrocarbon exposure can actually lead to the birth defects, which is exactly what is happening or occurring in the oil producing area in South Sudan. So the pollution is a public health and environmental emergency, he said. South Sudan Petroleum Minister Awao Daniel Chuang said until there is a scientific evidence tying health problem to oil pollution, no conclusion should be drawn. This was a statement by Awao Daniel Chuang, who said this: until there is a scientific evidence tying health problem in the oil producing area to oil pollution, no conclusion should be drawn. So I think Minister of Petroleum Awao Daniel Chuang was trying to be conscious, was trying to be cautious or be careful about any reckless statement he might make, to upset the government of South Sudan. In other way, he's the son of the area, and most of these people are actually suffering from these oil defects or birth defect in the area. But in this case, he was trying to be, he was trying to do a covering up, not to tarnish the image of the government of South Sudan or betray the government of South Sudan the other way around. That is according to my own analysis. So Minister of Petroleum, Awao Daniel Chuang, said there's no scientific evidence. So he didn't want to make that conclusion until something has to be proved in the medical experimentation to prove that the cause of this is actually this and that, So this is what the government of South Sudan continue. This is what the government of South Sudan and the oil producing companies continue to defend themselves, that they don't want to be accused of this rampant cause of birth defects, miscarriages, deformities in the babies, the rampant, dying of the animals, and all this contamination in the area, to be blamed on the oil pollution. Because they want to protect, either they want to protect the oil company or whatever they want to cover up. That's what we don't understand. So the pollution is a public health and environmental emergency, you say. So in July 2019, the Greater Pioneer Operating Company flew a baby pig and his parent to Nairobi, Kenya, you see, and then to Berlin for what they thought would be a medical treatment. Ping father Cornelius Mayagir said the company told him that they would first do tests to determine if Ping deformities were tied to oil pollution. If they found a link, Gay said they told him they would pay for treatment. But the family returned from Berlin last month after a lot of tests, but no treatment for the baby. Gale said that the company told him the child problem were genetic and not caused by the oil pollution, but they never share any test result with him. The baby still cry day and night because of the pain and not feeling well, he said. They are just buying time until the baby dies. Environmental experts say there is a little incentive for multinational companies to do anything because it is easy to get away with things in impoverished countries like South Sudan. Impoverished countries, that means it's a poor country, the other way around. Oil account for, actually, Ping father, Cornelius Mayagir. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very, person that I know in person, and his wife give birth to a defective baby, deformed baby. So I remember this story very well. And this was one of the cases that was taken from the ruling. Yes. So this man and his wife, who give birth to a deformed baby, they were taken by the government of South Sudan to Germany so that his deformed baby can actually receive a treatment. And then the Berlin medical expert will be able to look into the cause of this defect, birth defect in the baby. And you know what happened as a result? They give out the result to the government of South Sudan, and the report was actually being covered up. The result was actually being covered up. First they flew baby Ping and his parent to Nairobi, and then to Berlin for what they thought would be a medical treatment. The assumption of the two parents, was that their child is going to get treatment, and then before they do any treatment on this particular infant, they were also supposed to take the example of these birth defects. What is actually the cause of this deformity in the child? So they were supposed to do a laboratory test, a professional laboratory test, and then find out exactly what was actually the cause of all this deformity in the baby. Unfortunately, yes, according to the parent, the deformities were actually tied to the oil pollution. That is according to the knowledge of the local people in the area, including the parent of this particular deformed baby. If they found a link, they told him they would pay for treatment, So, but the family returned from Berlin last month after a lot of tests. They did so many tests on this baby, on this deformed baby, but no treatment for the baby. At the same time, the baby was not given a treatment. So Gay said the company told him the child problem were genetic. the better say medical facility or the medical doctor told the parent that the problem that caused this deformity in your baby or in your infant was due to genetic cause. That's what was being reported to the two parents, you know. So that means the baby was not given a treatment. And the reality is, but they never share any test result with him. You see what the medical doctor did? The medical doctor refused to show or to exhibited the laboratory result of the testing of the baby and show them to the parent as to what was actually the cause of this deformity in the baby. So that means it was a cover up. They didn't show the evidence. But they never share any test result. Test results were actually being detained and they were not shared with the parent. So which was actually the part of the cover up. And then the baby is still cry day and night because of the pain and not feeling well. He said, you know, they are not buying time. They are just buying time until the baby died. So the plan of the oil company and maybe the government is actually to allow the baby to continue to suffer like that until when he might die. So that means there is a timing, buying time until they allow that baby to die, because this baby was actually being used as an example as well to determine whether his deformity was actually caused due to oil pollution in the area. Environmental experts say there is a little incentive for multinational companies to do anything because it is easy to get away with the thing in impoverished countries like South Sudan. Yes, this analysis is also true. Environmental experts from different parts of the world, or from the Western world in particular, you know, they came to realize, or they came to understand that, you know, these multinational companies that are operating in drilling oil in South Sudan, they know South Sudan is such a lawless country whereby rules of law or regulation and policy governing the environmental protections are not being implemented. And so this company, these multinational companies, can actually do away with anything because they know this government is not actually pressuring them to adhere and to implement the rules and regulation governing the environmental protection and conservation. You understand? So that's why we do not put much of the blame on the oil drilling company. But it is the government of South Sudan to take accountability and to take full responsibility in making sure they impose the rule of law. They impose the regulation and policies governing the environmental protection and conservation. So it is our government that failed to implement the rules, regulation, and policies governing the environment. And so the most of the blame have to go to the government, not to the oil operating companies. So oil account for almost all the country export, according to the World Bank, and South Sudan is trying to revive its economy by expanding the industry. No one really watching. The government is neither willing nor able to monitor and impose its own environmental law. You see, I think that is very clear. Said Luke Patel, a senior researcher, studying China oil investment in Africa at the Danish Institute for International Studies. He said the result is a vicious cycle of negligence. This is very true. This is very true. A vicious cycle of negligence, not only on the multinational companies that are drilling the oil in South Sudan, but most of the blame has to be directed to the government of South Sudan because they are not actually urging the multinational companies in South Sudan to actually strictly impose the rule of law governing the environmental law. in that case. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I think I have come to an end. This was just to inform you that the oil operating company, as well as the government of South Sudan, are all accomplices in this, in the covering up or barring the evidence of the oil pollution in South Sudan. And this could actually trigger an independent lawsuit against the South Sudan government, as well as the multinational companies that are now operating in South Sudan. So this is not funny. People have to be honest about this, and there's no need to hide away from the so-called national security agencies intimidating people not to speak out the truth, because it doesn't make any difference anyway. People are already dying. People have to be honest. People have to be confrontational, and they have to tell the truth as it is. Welcome, Brother Ding. How are you?
Fine.
Yeah, maybe I'm not hearing you. Sorry. I didn't put on the... Can you hear me?
I hear you. How are you doing?
I think I ding. Hello. I get a report and get labich. They report labich. Report the Nyoki kai lua samamu ku yen anang men chi jorwan men wan chi diet ke deformed baby. Chi ben jorwan ke wun ku man e chi ke la pa na Germany. Acha no met bela ting bela lua ka chibu. E twa nyo na luye ni ke chi kan. Chen yek deformity. So wan chi ke la ka yok me da ki la lua ilaj. We na ila dwak chen. We na chi la lua ye na kana ke taw met go ba ke genetic. Kachi ko bi lwel yani lwel ke yen kachi oil pollution ne bi twan che met dom yes wala chi en ye ga chang nen chi en chap to met je bela dong nam chen wan ga paren ula dok chen ku mun ke dol lakin wan thio ki ga ja ben ke dol ja lo ben be ki positive there no chi di to ja lwel yin information ge lu ka bara bwa lakin you have the right be yin ye information ki paren. So it was a matter of medical confidentiality, medical information confidentiality, and Louis in Karawan Kiji post. But government was actually trying to cover up because the ANC would be oil company, while a government being go accusation, yin negligence of environment, law. So I can make which big law cover up. For I can a serious matter. I can cover up with routine. Can na kajil tree ku kai mi diet ke ya chi ku kana wa ku pai pin lo samamu ayira da chom datu ela te kama ne yele lo samamu hi we ka lo samamu jonu te ko aliru ne ko we da de lo samamu so ko kana ye oil company ke ku mo ko biga dina ko no kana kire lo e kana gola in brother de fa kana in ke ja lo report so ayin o ki ko chu ke dom chokomen. That the oil operating company is lying. The government is trying to bury the evidence. Can be a big more. Can any see which below it? Wa can any keke jamati? I think it is with one jam thing no. In Jalate. Now they get in one with Mati. In Bija jam could want to be.
Yeah, can we kachola oil kan taban man ada ipak wane loy lakin kan yak der ne kana chi ja chi ga yege like ko chi ga dukul wel ga ka chi ne badan wane nyuat ta ka chin ga wane positive ala
I
ga
think like low, yeah, and he low but the dampon. A chigran, a chig tax, a chigla low. Lakin a chig tax, a chig dam kumonki. Kumedad or kid lawyer like you. So you can a dwang in chen the rebes. Me the man, I'm going to ye a rem. I take back at the hour, what the hour, call get you a deal, Paru deal. So I can a new at one can a gay in a oil can a quite me go. Me the chaki, could go back check.
kuna mane chi ga duk South Sudan wala long
I
chi
keep
ga duk
talking to Sudan man jam. Keep managing Sudan. Yeah.
wa chi wel ke ada era dal ja ba lu ba ke positive
re dola chi di to ja ben look bay pin ku je yen un met ne chen jo be lego ku le dol che bay ke positive that know the cause of this e lui mendu chagen ke a che ke ya ke e evident buta oil pollution kan le ka wa ne ke government ne ke la wrong report loy lekin ke ko yen chan chi report chi go le you see so the strong evidence when any more than can oil pollution and and cause in kana jo look by be dito ka chi wore chi yen un met kwa kane ke evidence ben kan ko kane obu the big topic about it una le ro dare ka wuj by la yin ben jam ene ni man met jila yin un met
ya yen kan ko ka in bele luk ko ka ka dal chan ta won bi alwel ke taban ke chol wo yel kan mana dil ngi je de gi fa ke chol sa di fa ka taw lakin ka dal a chan ta bi jan alwel ke ka chan ne kan tek de ku
e
jodu
ko
to
dala le wallahi ko luo de ka man na ko
ka dal taban a chan bu ja kwa yek ibu ibu put our judgment like okay there is a side effect kwa chi ja kwa alwel ke wo yel kwa kendi to or che kanga ye kabat che man tak dat ko junub ke de na wonen tatun ka chile bu ya gwa ye jai kwa kuku ke taba na chile bu ngi jengolo rat ko ka ka dal taba ne ran ja in luel che man yen aka dal bu ka jana luel ke de ko chir ko la kire che wat kujen ko cho o yol ke pin no be na ngi be ne ka ye gi fa gi ban area wonen ta tun ko ja dek i fa ka wonen taw lakini chine radala won ban be che man to re man ma prut man awal yom wan ina lo ke ne rot is supposed to tell us exactly what is going on. Agongi the past news the one in babe kana na chira lo kala kuna jo lo pol ku jo lo lang man un met wala na man met ku jo lo luel ku lela ke chira lo ki which mean ke ra nyot tek there is something ke go lo ban be rot fa chena ka wan ne taw ko ke aka dal ta bijan alwel ke taban ko kan o ginub Sudan o ga chinim jali taban a chu ba ngi jangolo rot kimen we ko ya wan te o yol ba long nun there is big problem actually kwa de ifa ka wona lo rat kam ko ja won ke ta o yel fanen o ko ka jari ni bi jara lo le taba yen kan e mon ma fruit bi afere na deal ke de deal chan o kin ka won ke lo ro social media e ka a ka liam ni tamanet iran cho bi le lo
ala bira nan ya nom di ko ka de ke propaganda kan
ya bu gwa na yu
rocket
kir
ya ran kala
ya bu
lakin
ja gwa na yu kir
kena che
propaganda
de propaganda
taban o ki o ga chini liabo junubin taban
mm
rani galwel mu kuran wel ti mata winta ni bili kan man do lakin a che ba ngi jangal wel yi man ko ngal wel taban na ja ai ni wel ko won ke ko pat ke ko ngai ke go nya ke propaganda ko ting kira ta yi ni ra hu ba 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 liam no ke man ma pruda deal bi a parent actually deal ba ka ai contact ki man yi na ke de ngi taban ya la wel taban o
mm
o ga
Bye. I
o
will
ga
look for them.
ya o ga to fi corner de corner en ta o tun corner ta o tun ko ke ba na ke de ngi ko wona yang mi no de ngi o ada big problem ku big problem kan ada ketir ku pen ka o ma jang taban we kana wit na de ko chero lo kam kwa o ben lo ret no wala lo ret no ku ga lo ret long jeng ben ke man ma prut bu ka nga lui di ku tingu e lo ret ka de kan padal bo gwa ka itin ku la ku chiwo ko ja won ke de ke wi o yeb ka bu go gwa nyot ko wona lo ret ka ja pot ku chu le ale bu ga da er ka ke ra de kurana wona ra won to ke rana te da kan achi le bela nyaa ke wer chu ga ke ale bela nyaa ke ja di len chu kwani ke man ma pro bu ka ngangi chi man feren taban ya ni na cha yik de nai man cha nen ke cho lo yel ken angi ku te ra na wonen chu kun ku ira ngi je na dil ke cho yel ade ko ne lo taban te na ko ja won ke e ja wi te den ade ka ti ne nyu ti man mi ti ka di da che ka de le bu chak ba le da ka de je mu te mi ti di da de ka chu ting tin de ka chara nyu ko ken abu ga ra mar ke ko kwaro yo ke man ma pru bu per na dil bu ka nga ye kon te ku yu bu musik bu ga ye kon pe ma dil na e jana correct ke ja wa da ka ngi ku musik kan e ja dil chu pi re ja dil ko ngi ku ke na cho en ba de ko la wa la bek tin ji man pin nam ka ngi ku kan ngo kana lwel ke ta ban o wa de ga ti ku pin nin bele e na che ke lwel ke na che wa
jam do cha diri
a che lo na lwel lakin man ba jo de ta na mo wa de ga ti ku pin ko wi bu
anye bare
ya
ga ko de kin kana che ga de siya da tin kwa ja tin
ya
wan ka ki lo ma dara ri wan man wan ti ma dara ti lo ma lut be di company be shut down you know ku je ben deploy lo ko ja go je lakini aye na kin ga ba attacker ne mo people have been intimidated by national security but that didn't work anymore because you really enough is enough kene ke strong evidence that yen o yale na ko win kuma ina ko bi na kabarap ngoinen kabarap ku kaga na ko e ton ngong wen man e man bi ko go moju e kuma ko moju ko lo dedu wala yeman bin ya to leng leng at the same time a check den ge ko yunte to e wo yale in top finding yin ma win ke man ngi jenen yin ki e man tin ma yari yin tiok ruwen lo man na e lo environmental pollution the soil be contaminated ku jela so the water be lo contaminated ka blue spill ka be fan tin ma yari ku le lo sama mo ba ran ban ku we da ko kun biya kun big best defect kunu ku lo we ro da ko bi ro le inga ki ko ro man ako ko ro lo odi
ya
see so kana bla ku lu ya pan ku kala biya junu Sudan da lu ka ba da ban a shi ba ya yi ruwen ko shi ba yi ya pana la to so ki di cho junu Sudan ina le ba ka ba ya na to me spi e yo me lo sama mo kuka lui so yel unta ene so yel ne karanga yel lo sama e so yel lo sama mudi a piu ke denga ke kin mani ne tinga plot tiro lo fi jongle ko ero lo fi leg state ke yene kana dara yel lage so na jela benefit fi yala jala benefit yala kan dere gor ya bi ko ye pinyin ke kabar ban so abe so yel be lo sama ke ten ke tuan kin abi yala la te because e ye cham through what the hirab ja chomba din ke rabdatu aye ye tamamu you see una rabu baden wala yen cham ka luin tamam e kene lo jini you see jini de rabe cham the same thing piu ka de na de gen piu ka lo samam kala lo piu na ye yo menu ba lo breeze ke yom da den luin samam you see na ye lende to honga man e cham wala ti chel honga ni ku chem lai ke len dadu e wal ti nyuod we len bala yo bi yin ni rande to pani tin me yari lenen yo ben lenu ka lenu ben jal fan ruwe ka vela lo tri ko len yo ko nagen ka yu ko to tin ai te jirin dei e ringa ba cham aluin tamam you see e ka ka ngu ke scientific kan lu spread
Canada lo ki ni
yeah
bele ke wele bere che warelo kane lo ku ben e to ko lo ku yumar ke woni chol yumar right ko o
yeah
yu
the human right kan a matter
o
of death and survival I can ga de ka mon tin ko che ga
ya
de man
o
che ga de
ya or ko woni chol equality kan lakin kana wona ne jana ka wona jana tun taban na longa wona ko ga tiak taban ai ko wona ralo ko ga ko wona tiak lakin ka
e
wona
challenge e karang ni ja no din example a chan ga de
ba tiak na ka wona le bo yo ko ten ka yo yo ka man ko ga to tun ten iban riang we ga yo ko man e wo la gut ka man or bo ka gut ai ba den ka la wo gut taban wo ga tiak taban ko tiak ko ke jan kwa ngi ke taban ko ko wona ralo iban wo yo ko ban aka wonta kana mikla ki in bele a cha gwa tin kana lo ra taban ne che ko le ba la gi taban ni ne man jeng taban ine
nam
man
nam
ine man jang na ngi ko yin na ngi tam tam you know yin na ngi do taban yin yi ba na de ka jo chi kai ye ka kyo tin won kai ko ka won ko ya ni na ye polo pa iban jam du ban ko ka won ke lo ro ina bi ran der ka ko ben ini cha le brother kana
gernya ta lang
ya
lo ga
taban wo mo jang taban de ko ne to kam ko taban jeng wala mo jang ai tong nan ka je mo tin ko ka pe ben abo ja do tin den
ya
ke
je me tin lo rai
ya
fadal
ke ne lo ki o ka chu pa tin ke ne lo taban ni na bili o ga de ti ku pin a de ti ku pin taban ka ko ke a de ti ku pin kwe gu tir ku pin ken ken ye lwela ka wo na cho ga nil ka da na lwela ken na ribanal ken ku lwela ka chol mon janga wel tin ka wel ka tin ban de koy to adil ka le bi wal tin ku donka ene ka tir ku pin ma tin reno wa churo kurna korna nyen lakini wo wa de ka de lo ku ta na de ka de lwela ake ngadia kwa lwela ke ngak kwa lwela ke ngak kwa lwela ke ngak ene ka ta wo tin ma tin but wo wa de koy ko kya unite ka wi ke wo ga dil wo bo nya bu liu a chu ku ka ting Rener sometimes and a guy that a chan ba mon jeng kwan kok ba kating kara anja jam won kaya ja ting ya lwele tano bin lo batene man tene kele bo na ga dil yin belo nok ta bane e ka ta tene kan ko wo ka chol wo yel ken e ta panda ti ma tawne ten pan e pe ni ruwe ngi e ka da ben e ku lwel ke ka da ku na de ki chwo yo ka chwo yo laman bare fi jumal bar kadal wala rer fi tano wala nadana wulben entayin ke kene wo yok e wo yok ban wala yogin ta no ku yin to ki man mwanja ke kene wo yok ban lakin kene randir ki man ran kidan a ko lo ku kam ko lo ku ko lo ina we ga pengan trek halo trek halo
in piang ma wien ina jama
a ke kene lo rat kene man a wadi ba te tabanan bi wadi chala chek taban ko ga ci ben ko wi ku bi jam ko wo kene tan tini en tabana na to ko na na lela e man ma pruro ko man jang wala e wo je ko ben da no ko chora e man ma pruro bu kang dai ga de ko tingu e ngolo rat taban wo man wa wi buru rajo rat ko wi ku de ga de wi ku lo kam kwa tan wa wi ku buru ja lo na ba den chu gar ya ga dil ko ga blu kwa na ja wo lu kwa ni ke ngubu yuk tini man e kan bu ga yo ta ke bulu kwa ni kan ga yen wadi je ko ten ka tabana de brata ko ga ci ba ja ku a ko de ga de na big martin ga yi ni ra ni ka ine go taban yo ko ba yek chen ko bu ngatan
adiga in chale James Deng chale for your input chilo contribute to the show could want to keep your queen in brother James I you got your dating like him to be honest with you jam dan can I check the politics thing
You're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
Inchira yung mute.
You're muted.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, you're yung mute.
Ayana jam an jam yo ko. Wa kelo in brother James. Ya lo jam do cha didi. Ku consent do ne ko bulwil a cha didi je language ko bin jam tin. Ke wi balegin. Alu le ne ko ruwing ku jela ke ko ka panal. Woni ne wo yel talk be ke ni ka ke ko ka ju ku 100%. I can down it and ngi hukumu ta jinu Sudan. You know, however, na ke hukuma o ka unte ke o yel talk pa den kene does not mean nu ni de ke unta lo ke ki mane ke oil pollution ento a chi ok de ria a chalen chugi da chugi bulwe because ke oil pollution kene a chiro lo a matter of death and survival. So again, we are being honest ko ke sincere ke kwen ga ko wan cha gen ting ki madara ti ke labi ko chi lo chan ni we kene che queen aka iti abo ko ja lo around da babat uje lakini kiro ben lew chilo le yene kene ko kana go kanwen ne go ko ke intimidated one ayi ko wona activist wala ko wona ke government official ke lu ko represent ko la gm gi ko ja na ko ja ru ke kin ko dilo ko lo e kan no dilo ko intimidated kwa ko won lo ko en bi jitin won ke journalism ke lu report Quran wane jot ke mende ule pa ni Germany kene ke bela tem gop ke yemente any jot from the ruling area ku ke de ka wan le Berlin Germany in le en proof in le evident ko bin mo ke one of the example de kala oil pollution bela loy present. You see ke men one the ke ya chik ke ye ne cause of the oil effect in the area. We ye chi government men ko wa ko bu kum ko below nu kene che. You see, like in the evidence, the beta laboratory result, a testing one jilo. I jo look ban we na yek man mit ke go un mit e jo yin ke get $1. I think the information ke chi ko medical data e chi low ke confidential until one chi government jo lu ke government e report ban low ke cover up and low e chi low bar in evidence. And now evidence na ja ban be ye na the possibility. So one day ku chato in contact go yin en un mit ke man mit ka wi ba ke be live be forum kan it ka big presentation big ban low ke men din big deal nyot den ban ke yo if I get a hold of them. So I'm trying to work on that ba ke be so jam kan introduction ke lo report ke chi journalist be in ke kwen bi kwa en challenge brother day don't worry achi wo lo discuss acha ne ko men ni mi dan de yo wo ngor ko ka ju kuma achin ke en geri te however ngor ko jam i dan acha ni le ba nu ngor ke dial te lakin yi don dalina la de melwel ako ba ya honest ba ya sincere inte ke lwel ka in challenge
brother o ga de game is my ujana gernyang de abel or something like that, you know. Awi ja chan ke ga chi ping kan lo wel ku tan o tabana o ke ra wi ke ba ran to tabana ran to twen game is my te ke na ba ye chan
gernyang ne kon ben ye na yen gernyang chalor
kala lot we
chalor in bog jwak don to gi ka yokini menda na panal ku koy kun ga wan ji lo cha na me ku ka yok ki te cha lo chokron yin ni ki lwel cha be introduce the topic yin ka ka won ja go charaw yin cha lor ku professor James the diok yin cha lor ye stand by ku ba ye ku sabadin si ye nyang chen ba yeah yin gen nyang twin
ya yen wek cha kamo wek jengda kana miyo kana achiro wil kwe chiro go jok 2005 a jog rod 97 and 96 to 97 on yen loye elon when nadi ko koy pan koy ken pie wege chilai wege chet koy to on jogi yen wek ko jay kelek gut ke koy taw pallo jikan ele gana ken jo loy kadi ay loya ma akuma de chumal ku tan ke ti ne ke koy taw tong yen yen pin taw tan ay ci loy ke no man land pin cheran kataw ti ne tan e kya gok kwayro kon loy ruwenga koy nan 1982 something there on jogi yen way the den ko wana ke pinge koy nok le we ran to ku background dok to we chemical lan yen to we ke jatin ade hydrosulfate alive ane chat ke chirium edaman the exploration kan on loik exploration so kake atoki kwa che ko nadi ke be lwe la lwe proof lan southern Sudan a chen bi ke jat ben jogo we ato do lat kok to won we ke jatin twanye to min wan teri jo ko ben ko abu ko ben la nil tane a chen jog ro lo ya abu ko ja die de ke ya chi ke ya ku bi dia mi bi ya aliu en kana jat a chen proof dang bion dang le biran jo lwil le la ko more evident a chen et de ka kene ya kumen kuma ka karang na metet ku ja ko ke jaga pa to ku jola non won ko wone ke to e bainam a chiki diere ko yene ko wone en to na chaki diere ko ke yene ye jobe leten kulireten a chin man won ye luil on pane gien te den wune ko to tin ko wudi ken ku chak piat ku irana to wege wudi un kana ke pol ko ki be ki ko to da lana ki lwela de ko to pinyitene kene ko nok wudi jina e ko to tene yenga gut ko yon ken pye bi jamane ya no ko e chi pye technology to kana cha ga gobdi da labdi da gobgo piny ma luzeten ku loy ke tene computer ku loy research wala college kalu bi ko pyo abu ko raj de to na di ke loy we ka myok ti raj de ade ke ngi ku jola yena kuma lana kuma mu ko chin ko che dai tuen ko tyok e ki dai ke tyok le nin ka dia ke ki woy lakini chiki nin bot taw tuen chiki ting a che no no na di ke ku ke na ku ki yen ke na di ke research loy ku jola dier won chike ke dier kwa de yi ran che pyo yine kun tenien ko kuje e wi bangi kene pie dware ka kawane yen taw ko wone ke taw akuma junubi a chiki wi bigi de kan iki kulele ran ken na to ki ke nam din tan ke ga chin mis kan e ke taw ten ko taw ten e the same ke chit ko wane ko ka tum loy na di ka ko ke e kya gok wala e pan chen ko ayige ne na ngin wone ngin kan ngin loy ke jat ben wel kal yow kal ba yow ku ko taw ten a ril kini maya e ke lela a panama wa di panama kwa yan chi lo ba ba nyang pi ko ku e kana na gen e kana e ko ran yen wende kangi kule nyu jama da kalom nyu ti to wone yen nyu ku bi jo kwani ka pio da pet lewe ka to ki we panda ku bi ka be tem ti to on pana yen lana de ko je ko ngwang walon ku ko je mod lui ku ko de gub jog raj ku ko de gub ka yena chit jat na chira an loy le ku chikana ro loy gon ni kalcha yi e ngoro loy ti chira nyu ti chi ko ka kuma ku ching nyu ku chik lot den ku jamra ne ya e pion bai ka lo ka pio a yig jala le big jala ten ku lo ku lui ke ka le ke le te me ku lo ku lui ke te den piu ku loy hot ka ga ken ku lui ke clinic den ku jola won wa den refer ke ten ka leki ku naja ke ga yogal jal ki kwachin ke gam ke wala ba ke ben ku teki ke wew ku le wew ke ke karang duon de 2% kai ka achin ngi ki kataw ganim ayi for example how many mile a mile ka di which and barliu bi charam tiok to won weji ka miok tin akuiki e ko kanichol minister of health bi taw ke ba so ka minister of health minister of environment ko wone yum ko woni chol ko je yum tegi na de yum boka na ko ku de yum piet wala yum e de ko ke kene rande lo ya kuma kwa kuma kene akuma da kwa kuma da ko ka wone yen taw kene akuma kene akuy ke lo iki a chitu e dorot lan ra na bawon ke mai dui ke cholinin kunin ube ru kanin so na ko ji ketak a ce siyasa yene goya karan siyasa kiro da palway a barata na kawan na dika ngijindi lande ko abata o kai shiro mu ba pido balew ban e non biyin kwadu ku jora wundo na yen mu kene bangi ting a ka kawane yen taw kene miyo kene a ce ko kore siyasa no wo gien aderan ko bi wunok wade ko chem wo yayi a ce yene ya e pay kana e kene chol pi deran a kayen ko je jamya bay ke bi weto ka ce yene ya e yit na de tingi jenen kene e jong dang pay kana awaran tar ko wo kana ran ta ko wo kana lo batin ko bo ke bi ba nok ke ero wete gro ula banok wala bi go nok lakin kana chibiti nge yom yen lo yugo ayi rap ko baka chumeten ke kani chol timu ben e kra e carbon dioxide ne tawenyi dan ke genetic de tim kana wala rabe ke chop kega abig lo rap go ku en ke ba chame pin to ten kana abi genetic drana bila pu ku ye ka kane mane genetic yani ale lui ultra ale pu e kane a chi wok dab jam min nen 2016 en gol wok jam koy ko ka chi ko go bana lui blacklist security chan lui ye ka mana chi jolo yige ni jeejwa wone ke ga bay pingdang bi ke kana be lui e chi twan then a big job thing
Nam.
then kwe research kana to is available ataw pinam ben ata chak de kon beti bu koy kun kon betwan na lela twan yen rana kibidet then e ngo chang loy ran kene ane ka population duna chak dong nam chin kwa chi be de den ran kene mi bi ke ga di da bu ke ga parbe ku ye ne ro tab yo ja e kwa tab yo batawi chi be de ke kwa mi de high blood pressure by beriam bpo kwe kene ruok ke kon la right ku jola twen yen kene kwe ran kwaj wone ke to kuma kwe ke ye ko jeta wone ran ta kidu ko pan gi on ke ta na de ke bu pan de no ka de rodit kenin ke ruru ke lam ke bu pan de kon ku biting lakin koy taw toy nam tene a changi amum ki ni ma ready da pai ka wone en taw enon bi wo koy kolek koy kwon wone ke tyo ka ten paloy ku jola dar ku jola ki ke koy won taw alien to wone yen e kli to wone yen loy karan bi de mile be ke ka loy yani kwe ka pia de yapsa ka mile kede bi chen wo ga nyote ten ku bi chen kwaje tyo ka ten ku ba wul a wul wene ke ki ke karang doy tin ke bu ka ro bi chen to won bi wen belatin na ke be tiang na wol ka wol da ngai be lui a good bi ko won pio je ke te den mi beto bi yani big la ko ne environment kana lekla la ben after 5 years or 6 years ka bede a student a loka bok ku kaman for time being alo bu koy loy hire koy ka chemical processor company alo be company loy company waste management for chemical the chico company the waste management yen company kana yana bukarang loy control na de ko won ci loy spill ke ka bi lagi lano eki professional den kwa deki ka wone equipment wona di ku cirolo yen ki ci ken ka leki damantina kan ka cinin le ku loiki de ya company wone ke luitan ayo company long ene kadom na de long ci junub akuma junub ku ci loy ka company liable ayi ka wona yen ci loy spill ke responsible le yen ci ke long dong kuna ci long chol dung ke ka kuma junuba le bi company kana le bi loy pan ale bi mi ya karam kuna loy ka lui refit eno company kana license de ale loy rebo ale loy rebo ku chop lana yen a ci rule ka karang ka environment a ci ka tek long ka environment yene ka wone yen taw ka kana akuma junu ako bi department the environment bi low ku bi taril ago a department of environment in a buke ga kwanchok ache bany the bay yen bichur ade nam ka ken loirot karang loid be department bungek bi lon de ting chok so yene ka wane yellow ba martin ka kane kane ko ko mit ka bay na chi akuma kuchi kwanyen minister of health ba so ga minister of health minister of environment mun bi karang ni kwancho ko kwaj wane ke loy ka karang ten anu bi ki karang anu bi ting ngo bi loy ya bi tiok tok wala bi ro wonye ten bi lot dang pay tane chin ko kon ke na le ga re ten ka chi ya ko chi nim tum ya la twin kwat
Luchen buga matine kadang wala tit.
elwel
Awij butu luchen buga matin. Aya lwela. Ya emen ma purut butu luchen matin taban kan o yele kana wejetan kuta wejetun kan. Tak dere government men ta woni je yoken ta won tak det timen ngi yoken tak ene big yende ko woni lo fi Sudan ko yena jaw yoku tinga e ma pur butu lu chena matin
solution e martin
richir kan ngoni bi government a char government a cha tol gidi government ale bu ngai dia madu le ku yin government man ma pur tene yo tiang tiniki balo kala wala de won ben ka civilian ke mo to ni won ka ta tan ba yo protect area le ba yo protect de a char kera ar ben pu ti taban adara anto le po ti government ni kaman ku le le wa kene ko ke le kene taban ka mi ba ya kene le buk tem te ga biya solution ke na wi buk solution amat taban
okay acha martin bukun e jamene cha di loy ke bar acha lwelele woko company the waste management bi to pi kulo ayi to won weji ko oyol company waste management kana yani ya chemical process yani na de chemical ci Louis spill any ko won ci Louis spill kana company kana Ethiopia yani Louis attached to the oil company ten ka bigala kula ko geki na de awul won bigala Louis keke a wolting a wol kana bi yani ci nam Louis plo wala ke Louis plo ane ekikit ka Louis minister of environment to ko kaman be the minister of environment e de worker ke worker ka kana yani pe kuli char eki infection la loy ane to woni yike ka twanden to woni ye la pol pin tin kana ke kila wuy ci Louis spell ager wala de Iberman yani Iberman so ku report kene elatana kuma ku elatana government ku kaman eki potro eki kaloi file kulu year yani annual ka annual report kuna ye too danger yani tene area kana kayi worker wone ke luiten kanye ke tene palo kene mupurud bi chen koire bi chen resident ata worker alu biga rare malut worker alu biga to jala ku jolarang rana lu biya lokala lui e dawar won luyen kuna le to loy ka jel ten so ko minister of environment
Genya
sorry ade koy loka luyen disturb tane
tato intengen
jemet mayik
ayin piang
ke balu ke jam no ba tem ke check brother James thank you jam ba tem ke check ke ba ben lu yelun te ke jate report journalistic report den ke ben kene ke den lu evident ta oil pollution lu en cover up by the oil company in ke Queen Beach lakin ga je lu le ko le yene discussion well ke kene book do bet how kolda aka ba de special platform un be jo lo schedule ku bu ko jel bene cha ga mi ko lewrot ka bro loy ade de discussion je pa kana won pe support bi Daniel Mabiora chik in support bi ko lo os won lakini I don't know ngiro ben lo yen ni busy won yen ki ben attend to the current ku James brother James Majik ka da attend una diog Majik ke support be a part of the panel contribution when ke yen among those panel when ka be a contribute to that topic atau ka win environmentalist atau ki emi kwon ke jinu Sudan ke professional academician and they to be jitene so they will be doing some presentation on a professional level ke ka won they expertise in those particular area ade ka won they expertise in the field of petroleum or geology a big presentation a big ban law too e ko ki won ke invited ke special guest ke ben their contribution big ban law when a discussion lakin brother Mabior e ko chol ke den chol Facebook enin ko chol ko kana chi pet so pet below on a platform chi digana studio chi digana man tawon ke ruwen studio e kala bogen lo etin ayen ga yoku karang chela to win brother Daniel Mabior it's supposed the bay win ko ben yek introduction ko biya get ken wan ka bi ka ba ka ke ben ne forum kani ku ka ba lo o yen yak na le rot kene to be discussion ne bere jo ben lo etin ake wi ban we lim man tin ko we get ke to ke ba we lim ke introduction ke lo ku e report kene lekin an ya bran ban bi jola dukchen di sis ke joro loy ka ba ho yen ku dan yela ba chol ku wet ko ke kaman wan ka bi ke bi invited bi lu chu da gol Friday wan o ki kon jam show de jen but then ile again wan lo no pet lo in a forum like this studio shi kan bu ko ben ke jwe mane forum kan 10 people ye ka lo accommodate at one ani ngira ne ko bi lu ka pet bu ko yin wo ji man de yo ko bu ngek bi point ba bay ku lu go session bu ye timing go ko ya de break ku brana de some few minutes ku be ngek ben in discussion in piat to wa kene ni ka ba lim we ku ka yogin brother James ka yog brother Ger nyanga ci point de ci lo ci jam ba environmentalist te big taw achane minister of environment te big taw ke separate kara achane go de ke den cho len pil bi dia loy di jinu Sudan ki kulo yi waste product un te loy dispose te dia taw ni manner that it can protect the environment and to conserve the environment and to protect the water source, to protect our air pollution. You know, our air when it breathes in, important too. Our soil has to be protected as well. Because the tene which you contaminate, can get always samam. Elwa samam bana yi land on, yi rabman back yomda alu samam, yi wake dek alu samam. Yomana we can elwa samam. So can abukwan in detail them. So we back a limb. Oku ko jiten ku brother Professor James da diok ma yi ba yen pursa be de ke tinen bi mati lakin brother James e be ngi jinu o be schedule bu jo ngi lo in a professional way bu presentation ben lo to English ku ngira an bi jo jam to ngienge ka be de jo taati chane kene ko bu lo preach level ta jinu Sudan bi o de jinu bin big dairy enu oil pollution is not only confined to oil producing area. Abidjan Sudan abi lo covered by then, if not the whole region that abi lo affect. Even the Egyptian man get rely on the Nile water can that they have to be concerned. Can they imagine the vicinity of the oil field town along the river Nile? Alibi national security threat. We have been talking about this for a long time. Run for jam since 2016 deal. Manichin and really in Gernya. You see, it can be a matter of national security threat. We have been advocating for this for a long time. Kwa kene check the rio go because you kuma jinu Sudan lo yan bi national security ka bi en loy blackmailing wala bi yin loy classify here ante the threat. This is not a real threat, a matter of survival or death. So can I check the rio chama wan chaga ting for test wan tiro lo malut. Achiri rio go beta on mo. Ara len jam ni jam. Iran ko bin nak in nak achin ge kijen ko no kana we ko to ki already. Mi da di te ya chi ko jel mi diara lu ki miskare ku kwen kana chira pe lo samamu ai piu samamu la ya to ki rana to ku ko ku ro ko bi rol that wala bi diara rol that to ke ngoy na teacher so ayen an ko jiten jemet professor jemet da dom to ten ku lawyer in the news ku be o gakati ni lakini ske jala bu jo ngi loy ago ko jo ngi lu contribute but tag da mi jamal mi ago Daniel di chen pai kene boge jo ngi ske jala ken na bi relew ba ho yen ka ba ho Bia ka man wan ka chol ke del buy on this forum. So in chale mila twing.
James Deng MDM. Getting young era long biago era nil. Era agi
Era
wala
lwal yak.
no lo yak.
Mm.
Very good. Era no lo yak.
Achira de ali yung mute.
Era liang mi dai.
Ya
Yen
Getting young
ene
era
rana tungia malakal.
Very good, very good, very good. Yeah, and it's all James at Yogduma Ida Call, and I ran a panel. We and it was South America, I think. Okay, and I had Oregon, and it's like Junub, and Kerry Junub for 7 years, and I bought America 2011. Bagorella out of 2009. Now I'm going to do Junub. So okay. Louis Junub was established, by the way. I was the technical support advisor for referendum task force one Lord. Okay, Louis Junub. Okay, be chuo di daga ting passport di okay lo in. National land man okay lo in. Okay lo ga ban kulu. Lo ku South Sudan strategic plan with 2011-2013. Yo ba nyang pin in by Kiban Ria Karatin Kang would Junub. Laman Boka remote Munche Rajari. I was always a victim. I was almost a victim for your information. But thanks God, Saban Yen the day in Loy Machakalo, December 15, 2013
or 2016.
And yeah,
Okay.
2013 one Loy Machakalo, December, yani Sunday on Lord and it's schedule like an barrier but
Chira riya kan china zin. Chira riya kan china zin. Chira raja kan china zin.
I came of food
And then
I was what I was going to do, I was going to make an assessment for what do you call it, Bentiu Technical College, with Belaloi supervisor. But that was the time I signed a contract for Nile Petroleum Corporation. Can Balui for Nile Pet, right? And so and it is scheduled on Monday. I was supposed to fly to Bentiu. Okay, so I did by Pandi if you had a referendum, by then telling the custom city, I cannot worry al Matar Sabah Bidri, Wajana Walla Bentiu. In the night, Granny Cholan Mulele, Kade Dengo Kipini, Kupana Tabana Gol, Kukade Jinki the Jamaton. Okay, so in the end, I keep an out on Chiron. We even can go till it for 2 weeks. Thanks God, on Wednesday, the following week, good morning, I can buy be what till you go to knock. Bantu. So next I love Bantu and keep Ben and keep around. Okay, but merely get the quid. Okay, by and you been here for the next 2 years, Kalui for Nile Petroleum Corporation. So okay, 3 Galeja, Nakin and Chong. And you know what? We have never talked for a long time. Right? For your information, somebody I grew up with. Okay, he's my brother. He's somebody I'm related with. Okay, Randy. Like keep on jam for quite a while. You get it? And I have been pursuing him, and I'm really happy that today we are together. Okay. Three Saban in Chiwok to a Chanaman, Mana Wella Chibanon, watch a change in North, because you sent us all in Chok invited over there. So she came and she's doing her own thing over there. And my son, Chibanon, a change in North, and my two daughters are out there. All right.
Yeah.
You need to start calling us. We don't hate you, my brother. You are a family member, right?
Yeah, no problem. I'll be in contact with them.
Right? So here's what I want to do. Getting young, the head bill, we have a problem in Greater Upper Nile. Big problem. Okay? While one of them, please approach me and ask me, what can we do? Cows are dying. Children are being born unhealthy. What can we do? And said, okay, this is an MP, right? MP of the government. And you know, the government is actually the accused. The government is the one being accused because they're the one mining the oil. They're the one who have signed the contract with the oil companies. So the government is the accused. So I told this MP, I told her, look, you are the government and you are the one being accused of causing this problem. Do you think the government can be accused and the judge at the same time? No. Well, here's what I want to do. Getting young old bill, I am very much connected with somebody called Dr. Francis Ayuliwar. We talk every day. And I like that guy, for your information. He's a very nice man, right? And I got a problem with him. I also got a problem with some previous people who worked for Nile Petroleum Corporation. So some of these
people,
not Daniel. Okay, let me finish.
Daniel.
Daniel.
Petroleum,
That guy, I'm coming there. Daniel is a separate guy. He's
okay, go ahead.
One of the best, I'm telling you. Somebody I respect a lot. Right? Like in the other guy, one choba, acha ben le ke kulala wege, kuma ke ben ke jal ke ben kujel. Aya kuma ke ben kujel. The government come and go. Kina kuma team, right? So if we kakoi ben kulu, including one of our own, another one, they did not act right. They did not act right. They were the government and they were the accused. They were the accused. So I can book Chinese book accused for doing nothing. They collaborate with our own people. Okay? Hold on, James in Palfrusa. In military, so communities but are ruin, but are gear, quite topi malut, quite topi alanil kulu, including Chulu. We need to unite because Akuma and Giben, and they're there. And you know what? Another government is going to come and go. They want to go. Korubulo again. One and Interik Sabana, I actually talked to, we discussed this. At the Nile something, the Bureau Quail, we actually decided I can book a MP. Okay, what is the connection? What shows, and again, we're quite feel a nil. Came me dear, Kagaye here. And why you on an connection to oil and top Yalanil? What is the connection? Is there scientific evidence that shows, there is a connection? There's none. What I proposed was, let us do some science. Okay? And I actually found some people here. But you know what? Because of all the jealousy that is going on around, people don't like each other and everything. And people support the government because it is a Dinka government. Okay? People decided, oh no, this is going to be like this. Lana Kawajada big old accused, so we stop. I keep Ben Riok, okay? You could do all my chamay, okay, you find might. We are not doing nothing. Because Akuma the Salva here, Takuma the Dinka, Kunoer, I chop quite Kunoer, not quite Haja, and we don't need this. But here's the thing, work. Okay, Kuma Salva here, man. Lana Kay, you, they kept Kulu. I can go, okay, all and knock at your gut. We all have to come back together, and it's better than everything. Right? Okay, Maya is enjoying his right because they're one young, we're not in power, one young and not everywhere, so we all come down to his feet every time, even if we don't like him. So here's what I want to tell you. One young dan, okay? Oil, United, Colorado Malut, Colorado Panaru, Colorado nowhere, Dantry, but nowhere quite well. I can leg a thin, quite quite. I can be okay laughing. So we have to actually create a language, book by together, book galua and so. Oil to them took oil can non-renewable resource. When it finishes, it will take us more than 30 years to clean up the environment. Okay? To clean up the environment. Akuma Junuba can be Kwanyo Fiala Nil, Dearing Young Erbil. All they want is their money. And Akuma Sabana Kuma Sheba, Akuma Shene dollar. There's a difference between the government and the nation. The nation is you and me. The government is Salva Kiir, and all the people are working in his government. This is the government. The government is not you and me. We are not the government. Because we are not part of the government. All right? If you think you are part of Salva Kiir's government, you are wrong. When you don't work for him, if he doesn't pay you, you are wrong. We are not. We are part of the nation of South Sudan. So we allow the government to pollute our country, our nation. Because then we are wrong. And that oil, about 30 years will be allowed to clean up. 30 years after the oil is depleted. James, then go ahead. Ask me a question.
All right. Thank you, James. I already know your position, okay?
I'm not against the government, so I don't want a known gunman to gun me down.
No. Hold on, brother. Hold on.
Isn't it? Look to give
Yeah, hold on, brother. You know, yeah. Kedankin, your position. Yeah.
Your all right, go ahead.
Position James changi. Lakin ke wi balwel ki. Taban ade kene jelwel na jelwel ka lu de tu taban ke dane jelwel kwa lu ke nal something one.
Nal fact.
Yeah, nal fact.
Corporation.
Wa ke ban be tam no ma ci jagwa we pol nu yiten ku le ben twen. Taban ke chola yin James ke tawkin. Ke chol government kene. Ache ara na bene yek support ko che ara na ben. Ina ko ke government wala ko lo government bene ra ni are ti man wo man che wo ben lakini de kene wona lo retan a wij bu biang ida deal be dap taban ba di abe ka man taban government kene ya people taban ya government but the people are the government.
Jim spiritual and method in my person. Can you ask your question?
Okay, the swalki. Okay, when enjoy lu ke na fact. Kuja problem jo happen. Ija jal kedaman. Ijel betriga in. You getting tired the way the government is or ijel kada. Tene jel into the baja bana dugutan. Na wi bang.
Okay, good question, David. Saban Jali, Saban Chelo went Queen and Mayana Iran, Jam, I was employed, right? Quite around, permanent everywhere. Yeah, and it was South by and it was.
Jel gada awi
Then did my Jala I got a new job. I got a new job. I was hired to come and teach in America, right? So I left. Because I was paid better in America than in Nile Pet. So I left. That's it. I was not fired. I resigned and I left because my new job paid better than my older job. Is that what you want to know?
Oh no, you fine, brother.
Enough,
Yeah.
enough, Get on away. Local training.
So let us get back. Let me finish, okay? Let me finish. What I want
go ahead.
What I want to wind up with, Jamana, even James Ben.
Baden trick kadang kamen a chuka gating e yin gating tabara wi ba o galek de kere kamen e kalo pin
Chachin galwer gi achin ko gada they just listening
o ga ta yeah
So in the end kan lo ele kada we werke na yo mo bai o mo yin ke la de manu bu bai ngi mo ba di ka chan bu ko ja ta kan
ba mu ko gurmen angi ku mu
yes a chu ngi mu ade ka e ko te garai
Elia be ji kan ni Elia
ni giga mali a kan ke ko mo de bai. All right.
James, logo the topic of Paul Wakanene is getting political
I'm
here.
coming back yet, young. I'm coming back. Sorry. Can you elegant? When mock the buy, en key the chocolate pal pollution, the buy Rio, where we jot, where we take pink, Lani and Jasaban, Jazaria buy. Lani and the legend lentok leg and wait by the Nakajo eye way will let talk it. It will take 30 years for us to clean that environment. So, I know we are coming back tomorrow, but here's what I want to say. All right? The government is supposed to monitor the oil companies. But then they get the GPOC, the SPOC, the DPOC. These are not the investors, for your information. They are not the investors. They have nothing to do.
You are going to define those.
Exactly. I'm going to do right
now. We don't even understand what
right now. Okay. DPOC, SPOC, and GPOC can join operating companies. These are called consortiums. They are not making any money because they are actually the investors. How you just now through by the communities. Petronas of Malaysia. Okay, one company, investor. Nile Pet of South Sudan is an investor. They own, by the way, they have not put in any money, but they actually own 8% of the oil investment. All right.
A government agency or government company.
Yes, government company. Yes, company of South Sudan.
Yes.
Like the ONGC of India, right? Like the Petronas of Malaysia. These are government oil companies.
CNPC,
China, China oil company.
Yeah.
Okay.
In a China company.
In a China company. These are the investors. These are actually the companies that have put money in South Sudan. They own certain percentages in every block. All right. So what I have been telling people is, Firuing, for example, block on top of Unity State when they from a source, at the company we own. GPOC is just there. By the way, if you actually hear people working in joint operating company like Junubina Louis GPOC, Fidar, these are employees of Nile Pet for your information. They are employees of Nile Pet.
GPOC specifically, not London. the oil company?
It depends with your skill. And what happened is these are joint operating companies. So joint operating companies, Petronas will bring their people according to their percentage in the oil company.
Is it a part of oil company or something different department?
Actually, a different department, James Dengli. All right. Investors, when a China oil company, Malaysia oil company, they have percentages in different blocks. Let's say block, but I United States, right? India oil company, when a ONGC, if they own a certain percent, let's say if they own 40%, right? That 40% will actually amount to how many people they bring into the company to do certain work. So all the employment like GPOC, the Uganda and India thing, they represent the percentages ONGC. The Uganda and China thing, they represent the CNPC of China. The Uganda and Sudan thing, they represent 8% of Nile Petroleum Corporation. That is what is called joint operating company. That is Nile Pet. No. That is GPOC, SPOC, and DPOC. Okay, join. Are they Indian? Are they Chinese? Are they Sudanese? Okay, because of that percentages.
But we the leading operation actually. We the leading operation.
Okay, anyone who has more percentages in the company. So let's say
Chinese get more cheers than the Malaysian company.
Exactly. So most of these fields that you can take, they quite more money, and some people with less money, less investment.
I understand that based on the statistical percentage.
Let's say for DPOC, if you find more Chinese, then they have more money there in the company. If they have more Indians, they have more money there. They have more percentage. If they have, and I don't think there is any company where there are more South Sudanese because all of them are owning like 8%, something, very little. Okay.
So another man can represent by the GPOC. Work on GPOC.
Well, one GPOC might be represent 8%, but Nile Petroleum. But Chinese are still more because they own 40%.
No.
When GC own some 40% or something closer to that. So depending on that ownership, the government of South Sudan has no say. But depends on how much money you put into that company.
Well, already in Professor James, we are not questioning the percentage and who take what percentage, what year. Protection of the environment. That's where it's negligent. Cover up. It's a for big environmental protection. Big oil operating company buy government official the secret.
Billy, look, here's the problem, all right? So Sudanese societies, especially our community in the Upper Nile, we have no information. We got a problem, all right? We are ignorant, period. There's no doubt about it. We're ignorant. We don't know all these complications. We don't know all this sophisticated system that is happening, all right? If we knew, okay, we will actually know who we need to go after. Who do we need to go after? Government of South Sudan? What does government of South Sudan has to do with this? Because you know what? The government of China is there. The government of India is there. All these giant operating companies are actually governments of nations who are very powerful. They can come and bomb South Sudan anytime they want.
No, James, can I disagree with you on that?
Hold on, listen. Let me tell you this. These agreements were actually not made with the government of South Sudan. They were made with the government of Sudan. You know that?
Contract.
I can't talk unless the oil company they talk. These
No,
contracts can actually be signed for 30
my okay, new sovereign nation. One we have a right, book can book nullify because okay part of Sudan. The government have a right to do that. And then we have to renew the contract.
But
contract with the time with the strict compliance with the rule and law governing the environment, Sudan.
Okay, very good.
The government to
you are right.
the rule of
You are
law.
right. You are right. I see James then checking his head, but you know what?
No. Hey, Mayik, you know, there is a limit of the agreement. Like if there is a contract, there will be a limit of the contract. So I don't think that. Yeah.
It's not about that as well. Oh, okay, new nation. Now, you new nation, we start our own rule of law. And I ran contract logo ka chok did one Sudan take it. But now one more Sudan get to kalat ke contract one time kikara. Lakini chok way ka chaman chok way. We have to renew the agreement, the contract. Lakin you have to comply with this. And this our agreement. Okay, now. Can you support the Sudan lawyer?
Okay. Tariq and Mawien, let me tell you guys this. Do you know oil development begin actually with exploration? People put money in there, all right?
That's right, yeah.
The government of the country does not actually put money there, especially the South Sudan government. How much money did they put in exploration of the oil company in South Sudan? None. Zero.
The government
Zero.
the money?
No, money, yes. To explore the oil in 1970. How much money did they put there when the oil was explored in 1960s, 70s? Did they put any money in? None. Zero.
Look. 19.
No, they get paid for that already. They take
let me finish. Okay, let me finish. So all this money was put in, right? To explore the oil and find out, is there oil in this ground? Okay? None. They didn't put any money. Somebody else put the money. Either Americans or these Chinese or the Indian. They put the money there. And you know what? The Shell actually the one who explored the oil, right? But they sold the estate.
Chevron, oil discover.
Yes, Chevron. But you know what? Yes. They sell the whole thing, including that exploration estate. They sell it out, right? So that invested money, and let me tell you this. When the oil is sold, a barrel is sold, right? When a barrel is sold, okay, 70% of that sold, that sale, right, is subtracted. That 70% goes to the cost. The cost of development, the cost of the pipeline, the cost of all the resources that have been put there. Because the government of South Sudan put nothing in there. Nothing.
I'm on discussion.
Right? So when that 70% is subtracted, there is only 30% remaining profit. That 30%, this is the profit you share. The investors are going to take like what? 30% of that 30%. The government of South Sudan is going to take what they call royalties. They're going to take 70% of that royalties. And that is the 30% of the sales. They will take it. So what is actually shared, what the government takes, is very little. Because you know what? First of all, they did not put the money for investment. The money for the pipeline, the money for exploration, all this money is subtracted and taken out. And you never know. These are the Chinese who are actually drilling the oil. They can keep.
I say not only a Chinese when it comes to pipeline, Sudan, we felt deceived. That because the way she and what's in contract, we and the government of Sudan has taken it for granted. They cannot check it. Review. Deal between. I will cham cake indirect. And Sudan government is taken for granted.
Very good. And you know what, Trick? When actually the negotiation was done for the renting of the pipeline, The government of South Sudan was actually sending politicians to go and negotiate. Politicians who can only read and talk with their mouth, right?
Politician.
And you know what? The government of Sudan was actually sending engineers who knows what they're talking about. If I were there, what I would have done is the rental of the pipeline would have been a percentage of the price at the time. But you know what? Because of the politician we had that were sending to Addis Ababa, they actually had a fix. $21 per barrel is going to be the rent, because that time the barrel was almost $100 a barrel. So when the prices fell down, right now we are actually making the oil. We are drilling the oil for Sudan. We are paying even more Sudan than we get.
Yes,
okay. Okay. I want to know actually. Are we South Sudanese? Are we working the Sudan system, or are we working in South Sudan system?
I don't know. Go ahead and tell us. What are we doing?
No, I don't know nothing about it. No, I want to know. System moment. System
system the whole Sudan.
The whole Sudan system.
Yeah,
yes.
Which is very deceptive. So I would be contract below renewment did who video policies be in your government. But it's cheating. It's cheating out a lot in so many ways. And one way it's about the oil pollution.
Yeah.
I can no matter what you that way deal copy over when to go to Sudan, can get and Jaco Yokin. Get down to the matter of survival or death. Get the Toman.
But that's
something to do with the policy government.
Hey guys,
we get very weak on that. We have to be honest.
I don't want you to go away doubted, okay? Here's what I want. We bad like in the morning young. Okay? Oh, good morning, young. Come on, go pure. A channel a day quite copy with big real, big garbage in a walk. Okay, real talk run. Right? We got big real. We take the Nara Chibble dick, take the beginning of a local big old band knock. Can be can you can reopen your head, big and war. A cannon get quite do pure, and can do pure rare. I think we will know young one thing a channel. Now, took by no young quite big. Mang you can't look, didn't you take? Tell quite 1 year they can tell the lawyer, you can no go can't take a dick. Lana take a juror, tell quite quite. Not a command, tell quite quite in lay away thing. You know that, right? It's a legal thing. They will all be our people. So I can trade on the book, Goonian will can I check a yoga with you, Matthew. And in Lego, your real might be on not one day. But be only be off for way you know that a book like in Tia man. Right? That is very careful. That is so area, you might know really. Okay, you can't quite take the baby door, table cake, give them a
Taban nuer achugul wel ka chia koi kwa de ban nuer kujana o dinga o gato akero wa de da tin o ka kwa chia ko le bijal taban aketo ki kuwi nuer ka tin to ko pat to ko re wiga iman ku yo ko mo tek der kale bi dupin ke cho latar fi pa fi to ngena ina wi nuer achare ay nuer ting na mo jang de kana kan yo ka wi nuer ya bi kana kan bi yo ene mi kala dam lakini ay kada wo nuer ke kala ta tun ter iben bu pya da ka lo chu pya da ka a che o ge be jo gi mun ka ga men le nguteru ka nuer a che ka tiok e ko lo war kwan dit ter kwan ka ta ter a che ka tiok ara bet war gae men era na je pya ping la kira che ketiok so ni men ara jam tan ko ki wana ka che to jo akere ka nok enwa ene ka nok
Ano mà viên anh đi ra nó bảo người ta chơi lẻ gan hoàn chả là chú bội chơi lẻ gan cái thiêu của nó hả cái rìa chứ là thiêu của nó chứ là mình
ko kira che kira jadi ka da
cái rìa chứ là thiêu của nó
ka da ka lwel ku
ko jenga fa la fa ni ka jenga ni ja ni gen ka ku la lo nyin jiliu ko ke la lo nyin jiliu ma na ran ti ku lu qualify ke liu ke ve ke la lo nyin liu le lo ke to ngun te ve ni ve no ke ne tu ko ma
mà trick mấy cái là saban cái hoàn chỉ riêng quay còn ok chỉ riêng cái quay còn hoàn chỉ riêng bên lui cái editor John ấy quay cái thì rất palping
ngura ji yo
nó riêng cái này
mấy cái lem da ai ene lem
đây là bên cái con nhắm cái trên thì curer ugum bu quay là xong mà chọc ben jengi de why da me betoi bor ku toy pan ru ku le fa no right and what take away
era kero jalwel ka ken era kero jalwel ke piano no era ka ken
ai la kile ku jo pol kan jo pol ana yele a che pon no ya ban mat
ai buka
a ti ni be to je tan wa ene e wa ta ene lo el ke wa John Dele ne ka pen ba ani ke lo ram
ai no la ki fiori ak ma ba ya du
ai ra da ibar ko ma bayu ke ko dala che aga pak ke ta bu ke
ya ku le ya in ma win ke ya ku in je me do ke ma no ke le yene no ya ki ja ke kwal pa bi ban yo ke ye ku lo gien ke lo ni chiran ke ni lo tong bi ka chi yo da ki na lo en ram ye ku ka da bi la wala men ken ke gien ni jo da ken ke gien en ja nge nya no na ye ken nge ga be lo mi chila en ke ki ta ko man ya ko pa na cho la nya pa na lo
Billy
na lo le lu ko le yo ke kam do ja assalamu alaikum ki di chagba gien di da lo le na gi e je ne ken
Billy aja lwel kana wana aja lwela aja le nuer ku wede ke kar riek en yar ke taban tan yar ke riek dan riek ne en yar ke kada ran to sinten doctor riek gai ke ben ke tem ku pal riek ma jar riek pal ke yar ke ben ke la riek gai bi ba se pal riek ma jar chara hem ke tu
kala gel no win ki la to ke ya ku wo ko yen ke ku wo jo yen mo kida ke na yen ku man no ban ku la yen what actually make
kuna anwar bu gaba ngai to no ke nuer chalga
je me ti ko ngong mani ban aman wale ko te de no ke man te ko njalu el yi ci fop ku yin ga mani ne ralen in ralen te a fair minded person in a nationalist you are being patriotic in ko ko madi kuna yi ci la yi ne ci te cin wer ka cin wa na ki cin ko la ga je me ka ran
ngurin de ka
ko man
I agree trick ke ya le kan ko wer ke ma o gieng kir ma yar ke gieng pe na mu ban ina de real right now
Santino majur
diga so rande ko de real ku ja ke lo la ka gur kan mu ke de bugjo lo ai wan ai ke den ya ne ka cin dolo
kene ko wuju lo ka no kene ko wuju lo aro
diga ke ya le kan o sabana ke ko wede sabana yi ngore won tin kuy re ko re yin alle be yin good in lan yen they don't give a damn they want to kill you but if you are not all enough to actually resist that they can finish you so they ke kira na bar ga dal again ko le yen ka ter ku no ke ri je na ter kin ga ter ko we kwat
ci wa yen le lon
o we kwat ke ko ko ke no ma ke ga na ko faru ke ko Mikela the bet carry they think they are more than us and we think and we know we are more but you know what they're not so we book pure that thing they can yin cho thing panaru thèn các ban khe bên men cúi cột bên riêu nuôi đấy chỉ là leo gần tin qua chăn bụng ním thong okay it will be an eye for an eye nothing will happen
era
so
bung da to kan
nuôi riu khe o ga gej o pal junub ala bung muk be ya ya ko ga no we ala bung muk be ya nuôi nó bốc phát mà mày nuôi đi bên bốc một bài chỉ là bên này thì mà bây giờ giếng ra này ra lên random là lấy giếng khai cái là đâu nuôi biết là đâu nuôi một bài where is it gonna go chỉ là giếng này biết khai vậy quay chỉ là bên in the town let me tell you nobody will sleep in town will be gun everywhere so pelgo pure nuôi nó bốc bài nuôi đi phiếu đi bài mục nó bốc phết ô riêng mà cha mà phiếu gần dây mà chúc tin chứ trong cái created ấy nuôi nó phải mà là cái này trên on it doesn't mean nuôi trên nuôi cọc trâu nuôi they pure nationalism though they're there we just don't know who they are.
Dr. Yegai. Dr. Yegai
Dr. Yegai is one of them. We just don't know who they are, but they will come up.
Yen cái tàu của Kamandana Book Bello, Santino Manjurin Chuglor. Welcome.
Bari yakrang furtha.
In Pingo?
I was happy and look.
In Chuglor, cái tàu GM of Thin cái oil pollution, cái introduction in the book Bello. I can Ade men chit yit one lang oil area, particularly in Ruing, Kechila fan Germany one. Ke loke ko man wu jela wuni tok ke lo for medical assessment bela ting e wada ke yemi diet ke ya chi e oil pollution in cause wala ye dead fate so ke chiri ken wa na bana chi government bana lo report ko lo no ken ke kind like a genetic kan ke cover up ni chi bana lo report ye ke yen ayok medical result chi joga ben lo to parent gmit ku yen ay bana result no chi ko ke oil kan chi ko ke medical doctor chi ben conclude ko no ken ke oil pollution in a day effect kan ka chi met chen met chal ka chi kwa ken be a big deal be jam di go because ku yen na le rot ke yen era ande na men den ken ke getting ne aba dial ko go ko ba ke by on this studio ken ko ba dial ben tito they will be able to present their own testimony appear and then kujela any document that I'm looking for it na did land to in contact okay get that document ken ichi dito be no mara cha man town ke confidential information achi be a confidential no more because ken ko be use ken evident be en nyot junu Sudan kuja pin nam na de ke yin ke chang me la ke ya chik ke evident ta oil pollution so akene achin ka be mo tin ka ka wan le ni tu chan lo use ken example of the effect, negative effect with our oil pollution in the oil producing area or state. Wa kene in ke jamokti kene ke introduction e ko le kin ale rod le miak pogbo official discussion book jo set ko brana ben bi ben with some expertise ko unte che ko ni geology ko che ko ni petroleum ko che ko ni environment ku jila ko ne wote man taw professor James the Diogten era nan gilu ni oil field bi introduction bi ben loy kwa be appearance they be present ku ye ngo chiting ku ngo ke environmental protection and undermine the Sudan abu ban queen so expertise ko ke it's a for big ben miak te lewer ye na mu kon do lo gran lo lu show man last Friday which one of the discussion ye chu lo jo ko lo ben for the second time Friday ken but in a kira be ben le so ken aba jo be fa nya o de miak can I only being confined to oil producing area? Ke in environment ta jinu Sudan ban da bu jam kade. A chana mane waste material. Ka pa ni jinu Sudan ne kala ku kade ke gani we bas. Ko kene ke environmental pollution e ba ne ken. Ku ka water source ye pollute. Ku ka yi soil da e pollute. So kene ako professional expertise big presentation big ban loy. Ku buga our community book educated about way forward. Yen ko shift lakini ko platform che ka lo engage on social media achan ko jam ko jinu Sudan ke da cha man jemo ko ja dai so people can be educated bigger their ideas you see so in lor win bo biaka tin won taw mi bale mong nan mong ke kere environmental pollution we ngoye hukuma chene ni impose strongly kana chin ko nde ba jidi na we o ki protest cha ki ngwan chen lo malu ku ka yo ka ki government chi de kana ke serious matter a matter of death ache ke dei fol ka che ke dei rio jana mo bi ka intimidate ayen ka jam ki freely that does not mean no hukuma buta jinu Sudan rule of force kana chi tawiya so hukuma ngor ko tek lakin ana te hukuma ka ran lu government support does not mean no I have to allow myself be enough ku chaja chane kana ke to bara yen chale lor Santino bo biaka don taw shukran
achin kina koch the thing ke bele bakan lwel
lottery
kana gul
dera
ana bashkur hukuma bata junub Sudan lana badala Jordan ci lo cheni chena in bo pe social media also ke ga ping I think ayo ko lwel era mi jam ne yera no le ba kuma be jam go ku ci chok kini yi pin era nong mi kila kan kini ko lakin ai ran jam environment bata dola e nyua da yin nyar bai kele baleg kin kan tie chol oil waste a che ye che le genetic baro bi dir ke genetic lana I see one of more this long time ago oil waste kule kro ta fi we kula fi deng ben kule tin ai kam kwa ile ai ke dir lai kwa cham za to par bi ni dir ke ga ya che baro kana yo kula ga kuma one day nan junub Sudan man te kana matariya nong ding Fadlan betal gas betal oil kake kule ya mix kete katurba kal bi kete le bi ke le ko cham yi dana sur za to ay ban be sin le ko digi chama dil ti cha kuma ti chen kete lo ke kete contract lo ke China kala budda ke cho non ke cho recycling company bi be a chan bi bagay fadlan nya betal oil bi ke recycling ke bi jala lo exhibit bi jala lo
yes
exhibit ku baga ku ci dara wes ke kin lo ke ale bi ka yoci yen kala da
in terms
fanutin
of
bi
that
ka tiyo lanti yen ka tiyo
well
ran
and
ma
can
kin
we
ka recycle
environmentalism
yes ka kena yen yin
Minister of
minister of
Environment Kitau,
environment ku jila minister of
Minister of Environment
petroleum
Kitau.
ato elunde ne ken minister of
I try con being in
environment ku
Sudan.
jila
You know,
minister
quite
of
many
petroleum
Minister of Environment.
yes yes akai ko ka ay masule kene ma puru bi ji
Yes,
jinu Sudan bi
correct.
nyen tapin ko ka biya ke yinu ko to abia dangerous ka manate ka te ko nyeti aka welu an ke ga bile cause la nong le ben betin ku le ka bu ko ya cham zato le ne ke da ga le ko ga i welu wel ke diet ku cham ko i pir zato to ka ai ka cause ake yin genetic baron bi u jam lan yin ka ta a chipot bagay bital petrol ara le ka me mix ke piu ware ki jula piu ding because they be as the animal in the country ka ko cham zato to ka kana ku yi boko nyin ta tin ku ko jam ka kuma wa kuma bata China kuna company bata recycling ka bi lo be ku be kan bu mu wata ke ka recycling ku bi ka yala da fanu mal bayit ya ka bayit min sakan bata mu wata ake kira jan duel ina ma kubo kite maluma le kubu nyo the katar le ban be ba de 3 years to come or 10 years to come rana bili uza to abu ko ya cham ke le ke aka ga bile junub cha kite kwene kulo China because ke China za to ayu junub biga second fi junub na ci wota nyin tin no ko ta yer ku jula ko ta ba tu ya chan bu ko nyi
Yeah, scientifically speaking, what type of animal ka yeke luile ka cham luile. Ye ne chemical ka bela take bro lo yeke. They like
That's
okay
good.
bad. That's scary, isn't it?
Me too.
Well, it's Santino in alo
Yeah,
interrupted.
internet e poor yes. Ka yen ke pod ne chak tak a cham bu kuma da bu kon ku be jam ka kete na nong
I
kam kete waste company recycling ke be be pi junub. Lan yen assassin kata la le na.
go look at it. Like ban be tino oil ka ban be cham ka ajo cholo yajman.
Ma
E
yes,
like chir kongo.
acha ting ma ka ale bi ben be ke den so. Den so do ko kete a wuti dia dai ben be sin. Le ka ke a ru na chimen ke dan ka wa non pot. Ku pot ka ke ku piu dem ku met ka piu bital be to ke na ke ma bagay bital bitrol. Kali bi la cause bad murul bital year le ko chama deal. Mo bi kina cha chadu.
Wala is scary ka.
Yes, ma bi ko nyin ta pinya lan ku ba kuma be nyin ta pin tin ku bi padalat ga bital bitrol ka bi kala da panu. Mal bayin min muwatan. Ale bi in tijarat dro zatu. In tijarat da bi ko nyo boy. Ka kana ki manisa bital petroleum ku jula manisa environment achan ya piza la bia bital dawla. Acha kra jan welke.
Yeah, Minister of Health, come on. They need to join these three ministries.
Yes,
They need to pay attention to this. They have to work in collaboration in order to
yes,
find out exactly. Come on, which toxicology, the weak cake, you on the ground, you get them as a big thing, the soil, the test, the last sample of the
yes,
water sources. So,
yes,
which environmentalists to protect the water sources from being polluted, the soil from being
yes,
polluted. Atoms is come
yes.
on. So, can in conjunction in that collaboration? Achan biga ngi yes, each one of them have to inspect each other. So can you get serious
Number
matter? It's easy. But government is not
number
being serious
two,
about it. Yes.
kaga padolat ga kaman al biga tahawil arde bil miaiya li arde ya biya sara. Because kati mal big dip ay kata ay yaw. Kuno na libre kullo no na libre yaw. Al biya wulen junu baden ye ka arde sara we ko ye arde matariya. When we ka because e petrol. Kuji loy.
Santino na ka ajwa karang tinge. Ka ajwa ka
Yes,
tin. Uh, saban kawan chiro loy malud. I actually applaud it. Chiro malud wan ka pia da pai. Ki ko maluloy chabab when a civil society organization actually uprise later on the street and they actually they had some documents detailing out what their demands were. And you know what they said? They said, we don't need politicians or Malut who live in Juba to get into this. Because everybody who live in Juba as a politician, once you throw this to them, they will actually compete. Everybody want to be known. Everybody will be Salva Kiir, will be me. Now, I like to Salva Kiir, Iran, a tell war mabiur, war chul, war tip, war mo chanenu, gilatai mabiur, kutai no chana will be Salva Kiir, Keneran, Asen Menkatil. Not real girl, no, we don't need this. All right. We don't need politicians who live in Juba. We want the oil companies and the ministry to actually come here on the ground and meet us because we are the people who live here, right? And I like that. I like the style. And you know what? This is actually what people of Atoing did. They did it a little bit, but not too much, okay? But I want them to do it more. Because first of all, the oil company, there's what we call community development fund is there in the oil company. Every oil joint operating eh? And the petroleum law is very clear. Where is 3%? Where is 2%? If this law was implemented really accurately, ayajib alabiya daga piyo ko masur paltok ku palok, okay? Koi ko kuok imprip tawfiya toy ali bigade yana git kene ali bigade piu ma tur palok Lakin one and the other thing this is really bad. It's very unacceptable, Jamana. Okay? Moya sur, alibake wait, koi topi alanil, topi agir, koi kagir, ke lad make wait, piu ban kulu ya yit token, you know, millions of dollars is coming from this oil company. How much does it cost to actually drill a borehole? How much? $40,000. Eh?
$40,000.
$40,000 or $50,000, even if it's $100. How much is that? Yeah? 1 million. How much is coming out of it?
That is money.
The pew come on, sur. I can't you talk. Why can't you quite that?
Hey, James.
Eh?
Hey, it be 40,000 is little money.
Very little money.
Yeah, very cheap.
Very cheap.
Very cheap.
And what you
Because
this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about something positive. Spend the money to actually build, dig the boreholes everywhere. I go here, the pew, right? You can't tell who just okay,
open water source.
Exactly.
But James, you should also understand, underground water, deep in the underground, it's polluted as well. So no matter how you come out through the decade, is still a more samam. Soil samam too. So it's still complicated.
Yeah,
but it's still you come out through a little bit and when.
Okay, the water on the ground is actually more polluted than the money and the water underground.
Yeah, underground. Yeah, absolutely.
But what 3% you talking about anyway? Because I am confused here. What 3% you talking about?
Yeah. Go again, James.
3% Saban oil law actually, okay? Any oil producing community or state, they have 3% or 2%, 2%, right?
Allocated to them.
And then there is 2% for the community.
Or like 2%, like 2% they will go to Ruang State?
Ruang State or anywhere where the oil is produced. Actually, Ruang it up. You pan and where to think a lot quite nowhere those have the same. Okay? Let me just a Peru and it is shared between the Nuer and Ruin. Just to be Fiagere, come food big that 3%. Okay. 3% are supposed to be.
The truth of the matter is, we will kakadatu, I think a ben. If you want to be that,
that money does not come out. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes,
exactly. Where is it?
Yeah, me achi wan wer ene ka nag rieng ma char ka do ba mat de ela pin no ko le ka le la ho yin da ba pa di ene ka chiri ka yang ma cha ka le ga tu le la ho yin da pin no ere ka nag no ka ga tu cha le ka ba pin
no Mawin yen da ban I'm talking Mawin did
e ka nag ka cha tin
Mawin James Anajam I'm talking as a leader, okay? Well, because I know even far away here right now. Okay, they're looking at me, and I don't want to talk like Kayemo and Yang Saki, right? No. I don't want to do that.
The truth must be
the giga. Laran Narachina level team work. Narachina boke Latin. These are our people.
Achi le buka ka jot kali panen achi le buka jat.
No, my jacket panen, my jacket out there, just
ke jat kana wi buka wi nom da tu e le kan jat kana wi buka ngai no jat pa nen kan
la ni yo to ni yo
no mo wi ke do lo ke you know man ke lo da do they still lasting for more oil field when ka kin tin man ko bi ke bi when bi pay a chanin no e ka che kwa to ke ti ne to tar ja de ka la pol ko me ne le yena pin na chi ruwen jot ke wade o ya lang ko ya pil
yes that's true
de na kwa ni cho wa ke ne mi Jago follow get out of topic but get out.
Lekin werke awien jela Santino Kutrik werke ku je ku queen, all right? Lani no ere
No, I think they'll think you wait and you go. Now they can oil peel, they get their 5% too.
Okay. I feel quite quite.
Yes.
Na yem ku ko jami je ku queen. Chan na le gen pin. Ka bi ja queen da bi ga pin ka la chan no go ngek kede. Go ya lui claim ke kudu. Okay? Le pin ko kop pin no ni. I know I can live ke quite quite. Ke la mu ga le
I jago polo ne kare James kata wa in James ba ti twal. Ye ne mane yin in ko la lui wa na o ya le ri. Je lui ten mane chinen queen. Ku ye ne bo ngi mane mi je ke padang mi je ke jeng padang ka je tin. Ti mane nun go gol wo Daniel. Ye ne Dr. Chol e de ngune luil. Ku ye ne ne be ra nan Ministry of Petroleum kon mu wan ke ye ne Stephen Diu. A che mu ku ja war kon ku ruwen ngataw ka tin ten. Ku ke war ka panala taw ka tin ti tui. Ku still people look at you the where oil pollution. Ye chala ngone ya ke jol wero ro an mana. Ke ken radio lo ku mi ka ba taw ka tin ja ku mo go pol. Ku en ga chi ku ne ko ma lu jamwan for te ku le ye o ki be wuji politician. Ke chi kan le ke mi ka ba ga taw ka nin da ku still chi ke chi into ko chi ka lo ga dam. Ke pan je cham bi ngek la piri ka lo yan ne je ne ngek la tu. Ku le number da ke di cha pen. E ngo chi ko go brio.
Good question. And I want to tell everybody who's listening, okay? We were the government. So we were the one actually drilling the oil, taking it out of the ground. Who let it in? So we were the one committing the crime.
Correct.
Akuma, the Sudan is part of the crime. So one of the MPs of Ruwen actually came to me about the James or Ruwen. I give the Togi. Me give again. What can we do? Well, you are a criminal in Akuma. So what do? You guys form a civil society organization.
We cover up that.
And then you guys actually find somebody to do a study. I can be scientific evidence be by be kulul connect kana koy by. Now again, I'm going you other no kana koy kikan. Okay? Akuma, did you know what you below? The government will not do it. And the government is the one doing this. Right? Now check evidence, check it and buy, then you can actually open a lawsuit against us, against me, against the government. Okay? You guys are going to get paid. But the problem is the communities are ignorant. So there's something very good. And I actually applaud it. I'm telling you. These guys are very smart. And I actually thought it should have been replicated in Ruin. Should have been done like that. Because Akuma, I can be loyal. Akuma, actually, German governor, but they are the criminal. That Akuma not criminal. Benjamin Mikapadang, government criminal. They are the one who are doing this. Community has to have their own society. Civil society organization. Civil society has to be empowered. Because scientific research then big law, and then they go to court. And who are they going to sue? How much percentage does Nile Ped have in the oil company? How much percentage does the government?
Can you give us the chance?
Zero.
Zero. It look like you are accusing anyone because but I would.
No, I can I come again. Just Santino la train, Santino la train.
Ano ko yung ba na wa ma na yikitan. Kwenda kaya na sila ko ko. Ai no ko yung ba I be look la ro ga chi bu la be yo no ga bu kita de tarik ni le be o ga gi ga duwa ye tala bu be tarik ga resmi. Kige ba kan teach na wa ma yik. Taka luka ga kuma wala kan luka kuma. Kwenda kaya na ikala ko ita na kita Facebook.
Ga Luitan. Luitan ku cheke one of the quite ga ke both in kuma yi. There's some years.
I work for Nile Pet. I work for the oil company.
Okay.
He work for the Alpha. Yeah. So I can't. I just retired.
Beman kayin zatu ne mutam.
Somebody.
Santina network do I kill a dig network to get made.
Network do.
I think someone.
No, I agree. I totally agree. I am actually I was
Akadel gamanu yin dado. Kwe chai man luin ke job do ne protect. Kwe your boss come and respect.
yes.
Achanaki and hin and lord hin with both we ne. Yin to under pressure.
Yes.
You see?
Ma okay, we went ka like MP taru wen wala yin, eh? Yeah, re kursi re MP ne. Akin no ba kwanyin. My yanadu you are accusing me.
Santino and Cha pros. But
You are accusing me. So we ga loyal kana. Civil society kaka scientists through non-profit organization, right? I can business a big law. I will pay well, and I think no kiki a wow kiki leg ade kiki leg monazama kulule one he quite ben the man my yag one in three, right? And I think I sent you a video right now where they're talking. I don't know. I thought you would have played it so that you could come in.
Oh, can I kite for but your low anyway, but you're low in your joke and low.
You need to do that tomorrow. Before you come in, you need to play it so that you watch it, right? A word done you like you connection between the Kanakoi, Kujela oil pollution. There is no evidence that connect them. And this is how we can respond. Exactly. Right? One can ben be a kuma you were ben I actually thought about it and we talk about it. Okay, let us do research so that we can find science and connect the evidence. And these guys are getting a lot of money. The oil investors, ONGC, Petronas, these guys are taking more money than even the government itself. They're taking the money. So the government, if I was not the government, if I was given an opportunity, I would have done the research and take this to court. And I know what Molana Teji actually has taken, has actually opened a court case against these oil companies. Okay, what the user Malus has done is something very good. I love it. I love it. And if they call me, I mean, I've been talking to Dr. Francis Ayul. He's a very good man. He knows what he's doing. So, okay, I work for the government. I'm no longer working for the government, but we are the accused.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, okay, kuma.
Let our James up.
I'm talking jam.
A kind of what you whom Sudan.
Hey, Billy.
A serious case. I'll be called human right, I'll involve. What can that I'll be economic sanction, I'll be called again the oil producing company.
Hey, Billy.
It can actually cause international abro to let human right to let you involved in. What can I be economic sanction? I'll be back again the oil operating company.
Hey, Billy.
That will affect it. I'm just saying hypothetically.
Hey. Okay, Mayik, yeah, and I will the what is your position at? Is it your position on a Louis government? Well, you look like a organization agency.
Okay, a government employee, Market Lugan Alpet.
No, Billy. A question. You can't.
No, let's just answer.
Working at a government position or are you was working at an organization agency? Because we banged a deal. What is your position?
Okay, James, then I think your concern is why did I actually leave the government position? I was working for Nile Petroleum Corporation. I was the senior training coordinator. First, that was my first position for Nile Petroleum Corporation. And after 1 year, Layan Fidara. I became the section head for administration. Position he moved for 1 year, right? After 2 years, go okay, yeah, I need to go away. So I applied. Somebody and in James Dengli and I was such Pan American and I was such.
No, we respect that.
The giga, my end one go to apply. So I got another job here in America. Kayo Sas. Very nice job. Kalas go, my resignation was submitted and I left. I came to America in Oregon, Poland. I became a teacher for the last 4 years. I've been teaching here. All right. But Nile Ped is there. It's a good place. I mean, why would I get stuck in one place forever? You got to move on.
Push down.
Yeah, so I moved on. I had to move on. So I need a government employee. Just to answer you correctly.
Yes.
And I left. I quit.
Okay. That is
I am an American government employee right now here. And America. But you know what? I will go back anytime when I want. Does that answer your question, Dengdi?
Yeah, let another guy, because Cantino is coming back now. I think.
Cantino,
all right, go ahead. But I'm not against the government. I don't want you to send a message to Juba so that I can be shot by a known gunman, my brother. Don't do that.
No.
No.
Okay, no, American. Not against the government. We can be like.
We never tried. I hear it. I got mad and one third. I keep on the catch it.
I
don't know why you doubted. Okay. But you know what? They know how I talk. Everybody there in the prison knows me. They know how I talk. Okay, I actually speak my mind, and I go there every year. By the way, for your information, and I do every year. Why I can
No, kada kan ta tani we wer ka tawki taban o ga joj ko rana bana yira human being taban ele dak different position.
Yes.
Pan yar ku taban o jana dinka wala o manjang wala jeng o ga big ko ga with that dak different idea taban de pan supporter wan tera ngi chol supporter. Te de elwe pizza loy pan supporter ka e ne elwe cha gam ka de ko elwe la jogala we ko de ko elwe kalya ko elwe kalya ko de ko
right.
Na ti ye ngo we ka lwe ke ya ka lwe lo ba e ben ka ya che lwe agree na la ka dang ben ke na ka le ba lwe yan wana ke lwe agree.
It's true.
Na ka ben ka lwe ya ya je kam tun wan ana liusen. So kene ata matin o ko mo anjang taban o dinka o ga ju da pai kwa chi wuj bu ya to ben o nim bala tin lakin kene lo ran matin yar ken te che den gatin ada o ben kwa ya du taban iben a cha bil look, you know my position already o ga de ke chi o ye cloud ada ke dire o nim kwa kuku lakin ke lo ku ta na yubo nim ke de o na ke nim yu ala ka
aki ke me de chi lwelo le ko big bang go
ya
to jeng
o nim ta ten lakin ke o ga de ke boy ka o ke kuku ke o ting ke na cha a cha o nya ko lo nim ja de nyu ka bu ya wi ko bu ja lo ko kwa nyo pin ene ke boy ka o men
James Dengdi.
What you what no pengen what you what ko te giba che wat ke loy ke che wat ei te nei je lo la di ade ke wo ka to ade ke dan wo ke lakin wo ko mere ya lo ta ba ne ran ke a jam bi na cho ran le bla pe di ya jam la a wi bo wet government we dinka bi yek dem kram bi yek different che ta ban ke chol dinka e different it right well, government is the government. So na rani lo ka ju hukuma ra jiba government fi jiba shiwi. Ke ku lo ka government jiba ene chawi. Lakini du lo ka dinga shiwi ene my problem ka ka. Kuna rani lo ka dinga shiwi which mean ka dinga o kene le ka che dinga man.
Okay, very good. James, James, let me come in. Ben.
Wa malin
Ben.
challe
Ben. Sandino Ben. Ade ke tir wi badang nam. Deng dit. Ade ke gulola. Ke alu ele kene. Na ye dinga ye na halian ku jalwan ci ku dinga man en daran ci ru. Mikira? Dala dinga. Ama dinga. Ke gulola kene. O dinga e jam ku le we ko werke o ko mu ko kuma dinga mu kuma. You guys went ke.
It doesn't make difference. It
Yes.
doesn't mean that dinga to any president, which means the whole dinga is no, even there is a dinga innocent, they don't even know nothing about it. And the dinga that are innocent, quick that any president that they don't even know.
I totally agree. James Dengi. Ke chalu ele kana ke ale wer ka duor ke ale wer ka nor. When you know I and Ramo cake. Let me tell you, we actually fight every day in different forums. Ke ale ke kana. Ya ale ke kulo wer ka ne ka e mo indor. Enen gop and James mai ko e mo indor man. Ku ja nya gad. Yan CS nya gad. Ade jinu sala ke dom dinga kin. Ne ne reise jinu. Ana gala ba loy ke dinga dar la balo ke ma allies bedel bana jam la dinga raj la man bi dinga len rare America ten ki James deng ma wien bi kela riopio why do I do that ma deng ma wien dar and buy bi ma allies ku le ku ya ko luerin ko ke riak bai bedel bina alo ke dinga riak bai dinga riak bai de par ya ganen pa de par ya ko de par ya kri ma all right
Yeah, just Santino
ai
that
so ke
ai ke ba
sandino
waga cha
one
kele ja
second
pe
only one second ke luele
oga
gan
cho ka ja
ai
acha ping
fodo
oga cho ka ja topic lakini ku pa ban kulwel kin kan ko jaban achi nyin welo ko che den kara jaban kwa ko wi sulta yana lwe kula ko ran che je ran je chol mo jang apa do pe wa da chok be anwar kalle ko le wi ko to kalle ge ya mo jang kin kan mo jang ko ne kin ala jen yen ko ke yen an ke ga jwe kuna met ko to ku jam kan gabila kana na chui ku tana na ku bung no ka che le bere na gabila ken lakini li mo jang no men ki chiri ken e pya do mo jang e yin mo jang e nyuot ko ne na le jen yen ko ke yen Tijela tin wa ma jemin mayi tijela tin wa ma jemin mayi ko jwe re ta ya ko yo online den ku ko jamana kuma ra no mo janga ko tikana lu ka kuma wada ki nyuoj wala cha ja wala ki chop ka yin boku ju facebook ke be ben tion ku le na kuma kana na ra ku yin yire tin wen e mu kine lu zaman to yin tin dida wa question ku pal ko ko kin kan lu ka kuma be wa jamana kuma kana ra kwa ja belo ya aksi mena ko kin kan lu ka kuma ka jamana kuma kin kichilo tena yo nang club da kake ko ten kwa wu mon jang rot e to ken kedero au mon jang ka yi ko ke au ga yi ke to kile bi ro da bo bi wa ka bi ko la mon jang ko ka la ma de ke ku la kan ra kwa ni na le ke mon jang ken le ka chama ban bi to ka bela du no yin ku cham ki za to kana de ken di ke nim kan ta pe nyalen ku biya kana le kon ku tin ku je ku la du boro ja ban lo hisab ini wamu de cha sabu kul no en ten kra lo ay jala sabu ci jatto wo ci tong ci jatto ka julanga ana ci wale go nan kanara ko kira da bina lo ku kle woktin war gana chan wo ay wamu e kle bu ga le ga wa don no kuma kir maya non ko to e cho jula ko ko wo ci kir kana le ci kan ting ko ci men le be wo go bo ro cham ku pe ro lemben anon ke chol 2% ne elwel kene elon wali kimeru wanga administration na chila na 2% kwa chiban ba kuma ga junub Sudan ga nyiji rana ban ya muke gabna muke na lati gabna ne ne to tin ba lati bu ba bene chan ben mag ben ka kal bena lo ba
No.
mana tena ila galwela na toka kuma kwa chitoka kuma ta wogu bita ne ogala ne chi kwan kina akijila ti kwa chibeni biat ke ko wo wachi ni sab dog le ku bugolo man ogu monjang o galu bukan ko ku kon kan ku bo tul kenen kon ku ting wada luwe ka kuma chilu ka kuma ko ku to ku kon ku kete ku kidi bita twen ki gon ki nyan kol kilwel nyan kol matiang aja ankor kamano rana na agewod anko wona na ke jala na ngorre god ko ne atinga ne kilo ku bukan ting ga ne ku kono ko loy o topic ki ta ben ne topic pa ke cholan ke te oil ways ke tu a tu tinga non bai ko ki ke da maru ko ke te ina se san ke chol oil ways ke no le chu ka ya cham bi dik ba dik nyeng pe ku kat ko bi ku nyeng ba pe okay lan bagaya ken ke aya le di ku le ka ko cham ale ku bila kuma kulel gal man sabta environment alla be man be keta de strategies ke le ben ka kak ben ke lo benang recycling be bi ka la tok be ba yin men mota ano ngam bu ba den en petrol chat tin ken kule im pajar ka nyoko jaben apa dia ta ko pe ike tin ko because ntina pajar ka ko manati ne to yelom ko ka ko adep ko be ro ben so ka gale bu ka le be ko akuma da ko kwa chelambu ro cha mo pe ndo ko tin ka yin bi lugin chal le topic pot kwa topic awareness ke bro lo no junu Sudan ke bro lo junu Sudan wada ko junu citizen ta junu Sudan we wa ta kale topic pot yi wa ma je me chilo ku bugule eret bada yi ku bombo wa mere tong dane yi wada yi ne ke lu ka ku ko ke lu ka ku ma ko ko to ge ku tingo man da we wa ta le ja pe ko ne le ka we
Apa the red eye Santino, Intelege by Santino, for wonderful contribution. Jabe, ko buga deri kaman kid man watalu ele yan oil pollution lo red pi melat ta greater fanal kake ka yo kero do ko mit ko on ga bay ko ti man chin go tingi yen jemet dio ma yi professor to ke professor United States ne o ka yo wan chen lu tu yeto ke men ruwen ake lu ten we man je mo dar mit ko ruwen ngo re ga lu tin bilang no oil kan when the same thing chatting wan ran chol Stephen Dio e men ngi jeng padang unung bela Benjamin Town ten wo Daniel e men ngi jeng padang when any Dr. Chol Ding ka wan ten kujela rest of the people I don't want to mention their name man talk wan yi Dr. Karam woni Karam e chol nga fola dong e ga mit ga ba chi lu ye kani lakin ke ka ta pod wan big environmental pollution big la le ku kuma ko dil ke fix according to way wonte big policy big again Karam akani jin James injeme da dio e keni je lade ko nyine longi kala bila dugo yir e chaga kir me yari man ko tiejen kala bi dina ko le ke mi ka fandu ka luitin wan you see in a political way get load deflect back on you the way mi ka bai kwa nga chi ko wane ko malu de ka jaw le o ki wuji tie din mi taw mi ko de mi ka bai da to ka ngla tani ko ga ko gan na lo ka ya jam ka chi ga report ka dal ko ken chi ga lo report e ngane ka riya e ta pod wan ya yin men ba yin e ko na take a lead kene credit dem no na ga lek jemet ma yi ke make sense a cha deny ni kene lakin ke bag jo de jin jemet mo yen ku jela yin santino mo jur ke bag del de jinu na je ko ke ruwing wala ko ke apanal langune o yele en talk tin ku ye ku kuma le go well that not mean no ke again the hukuma kwa kene ka de tin ka go de la dai we lakin chin ke tatin a chan yini ran na la bati ara mo ngene ko randu go wan mu ne wan nyan ku lakini che nyu nu ka de le intin ka yo ruwing ku jela ye na panal dan taw mon jangen tin wo ga 100% okay supported the government lakini de ko riok pyot ko jo wel ko ye ka luil straight a che ke de ka man a che ke de ke tianti in man wan jagen tin protest in ke position na odi epan kwa kene le baga no munu a choke ne a chok lu bogu kuma dan jinu Sudan wala we ko we jeng bogen good ko ulul ko ye ne ka de rande fe ko ko e kenen ka de tin how de di le kine chin ka tin ke correction lo ko cha ne kene kana ko kon ke mon jang to area kula da mu kuma dial ko ke chan ke dar they are supporting kuma 100%. So okay ko jing fa danga not afraid big will no yin kuma ni kene watch lekin that does not mean no e ke ko fa danga big la mala dur ku bu ko yi tek e kenen ke en ke ko na that thing concern e yen don ke di et tin ko ke kale jam no pet ko topic kana pet do tio ko ngor ko be jam ya topic kana ba lo ke go the expertise big ben ko un environmentalist ko ke professional health ku jela man to ke ten ko un ke ko ni geology wala petroleum a big lui contribute ku jawe wo uthe ke to ku jela ka yuna activist man yen na activist and che expertise in an field concerning ke jam yide lakin de ran bro volunteer mi ak biok ban jak ke kene we be stand by we ba ke update tomorrow ba din e Saturday it done anyway or book lo yom la depend on the way on be schedule very martin yen we chakale we ko che lui contribute to we kama that way ngai
give me 2 minutes James Deng Mawien kujela
Santino Major
kujela Gerinyang the Erbil where can here again is the government. And I think the problem is a lot of us here in America, Australia or Canada in other cousin quite kick on a buy, Panagin Busran kick on Louis. A day go make a Hana will pay our Daman yellow Daman Haraka. One is PLM, Tawan KSPLM movement. You guys do not experience in one SPLM Siena party. There's a difference between SPLM. SPLA has a movement and SPLM has a political party. One here's PLM, Kenya political party, jur kwano anjiro loyal ke yemon yeng, anjile jur taro, a chick ben cut ke boko dam ke bai.
Ke system dom man.
Ke bai. When alo man, Kim you ran a yamatong narab, che yamtong yeng la ke mon yang, why jay, on yamtong yeng a yin. Let me tell you, this is the truth. Okay? So wait. Điện cố nga điện cái của lẽ gồm điện cái join gồm đi bài ai chỉ thông cái thuần nhang nguyên thì ok anh chỉ là rumbek anh yêu lui rumbek còn chỉ phi ran chẳng hạn lết chứ mình thao cái này như này sản thi nổ mà dù ra thế em mọi phim bài với rumbek ran quick snipers they just shoot you because they don't like people who are educated coi như là bên chẳng hạn lết coi cái bắn nổ they don't know. Okay? Fauk, you quarter we big by okay, ne?
We look at each other and you
You we book one we big by be okay, ne? Ter okay, ka de ki ba chilo one be ai dab dar ka ben ka ya loin be ko le yur ke ji ko loy ka muk dang ai chi ne cham ko cho le chi ne pe le ba ku ju no bin yang mang jama Iran chegat kala jama Iran chegat na pinga ne junu wala nga la jama ka le jama in kur ka ke bi ko jele la ju right in the policy we book lo adam ana ke ko ke and I will always say this nar duar akin leo ke pin ke ko ko we need to find a way a middle ground trega boke ba pin okay ago tango ko bu lu devolve Hana yena chan book totin ko yeng ma ke ko they know what we are doing ke ko asaman jam ade no era jam thong yeng
can a different topic can James
so who is
can lo china accusation le yen mon jang chi ke de ko lu ke jur
exactly so who is ba lo na ke de oil kan o bi jam ma dit and ke de oil we awal what we need is only one thing there's nothing else you pay the government should pay the communities that produce oil their 2%, their 3%. That's it. Just give it to them. Take it out. Millions of dollars. Give it to them. Nyoi kai ko malut yeke wehoken. Nyoi kai ke ruin yeke wehoken. You quite can wear, quite Kateri Jazzy and Welkin. That's it. Let them do what they want. Like in that money, I kick on Ben since. And that law is actually in the book. Now, when Oil Petroleum Act is all on there, is all in there. But where guys you get Ben? It's not there. That money does not come. Where is it? And I can't judge where is it? Now, Akuma the Jing and Jenjon. Now, Akuma the Jing a criminal. And all quite why do they?
But in a Chakuma the Jing James, that's where you go wrong.
Yes, I know. I'm wrong, but you know what I'm actually saying?
They did not call it a Hukuma the Jing.
Where is it? Where is this money? Give the money to the people it belongs to. By the way, one be Daniel Award, good man in him. That man is good. A leader. It was the first time I can be ruined when you are well. You are quite that was the first time. I actually never knew if there is any other
I can remember by you. I can remember by you.
Very good. I like that man, I like him. He's actually done a very good thing. We'll be talking, right?
Get prepared tomorrow. I can be presentation of video low to the rest of the panel. Ayin in Kekabatoni, Nikan bring it in one of the guests to the altar to lay work or yok. Wegaya, we give Mugen, Ujila in Bantantino, in Giernyam, a yoke way, we get regular contributors. We're looking forward there back when to tomorrow or Sunday to share a level to that. Why ain't getting young, but no, you go show the book you have next time. Yeah. I quite Jim the video. What about what played? Let me play audio one. Book your train, sorry. Did I know? You think about Paul Buffy. It's a football, we'll play tomorrow or something. Think about.
When Ping Mayak Gear was born with a deformed foot, stunted leg, and 6 fingers on each hand, his parents didn't blame God or nature.
Can you share the screen?
The Associated Press has obtained several unreleased reports documenting widespread contamination from South Sudan's growing oil industry. They also detail an alarming spread of birth defects, miscarriages, premature births, and other health problems. South Sudan's main oil regions are dotted with hundreds of open waste pits, the water and soil contaminated with toxic chemicals and heavy metals. Rick Steiner, who consults with the United Nations and others on oil pollution, says the oil companies are taking advantage of a struggling developing country.
It's really a tragedy for the people there and for the environment.
Since gaining its independence in 2011, South Sudan has been racked by famine and civil war. Oil accounts for almost all of its exports and more than 40% of its gross domestic product. In 2018, the government told Chinese-led Dar Petroleum Operating Company, one of the country's 2 main oil consortiums, to begin a cleanup. Sources tell the AP nothing has been done. Oil Minister Awao Daniel Chuang calls links between the contamination and birth defects premature speculations. The World Health Organization and others say exposure to oil and drilling-related chemicals can be harmful to unborn children.
There's a well-established linkage there.
Neither Dar nor Greater Pioneer Operating Company, the other big oil concern in South Sudan, responded to requests for comment. Greater Pioneer paid to have Ping evaluated and told Gear that genetics were to blame for his son's condition. He doesn't believe it. The parents are still waiting to see the medical reports for themselves. Meanwhile, Ping's mother says the infant cries all night in pain. For now, at least, oil remains a big part of South Sudan's future. Alan Breed, Associated Press.
I thought. So yen okujola twing, but then we will still play it tomorrow. Abang it on the screen the better level. But then they to my life. So it's
3K we before people come. We before people come. Lano, this is what we need to talk about. We actually need to discuss it carefully. Okay, I mean this is life and death. I can't purely. This oil pollution. Now look, Jack, look and pull to your will take 30 years.
Okay, yeah. Yen katawa a solution na korot below yadi. Katablo below yen a company kega wiki. Yani a wija waste chemical waste management. Kwa wija kwa wene dem build a company. Kana go pinya wik. So kujola Department of Environment. Kaka na chiro loy ka diak kano bi karang loy minimize. Secondly, ako company wona yigo can be ke loy relocation. Bi ke let dang pay ku bi ke ga loy piu ku le ka loy hot ka ga te me ke ka karang ten. So yene tene control the yen ka kan kujola kujola de kanichol Minister of Forest bi londe loy lana to wone yende karan kane biro bi chom kan kanichol team ban e karang e loy radios e dom kayen na around the surrounding of northern Nile bi chom bi aro yitene oil field kana bi chom ro go ka wone yento a biti madam so kule team group keten abukarang loy minimize ekene ako loy ti chiko yen ting ke yene reason wilaya dan taw wo tene cholal beta ade nam oil company kidikana wa weji ka oil tin ka kidika ka loy so pin number agent ataw ke agent when ke ngi je how to do it so a very easy rate kana chaga tene company ke US when environmentalist kujola chemical processing waste management they can just go copy and paste the regulation then Chilway set up in Canada and Chilway set up in US or another country kubaku kulweke ajize kwe agent in a department and back ben loy e danga alubi loy alubi leptok because kokta yoko loy so kwalo bi ko ke ten tamit pio ti ki ka wot ken ai ke la yik to la jalga ku buke ben yik wenam to boma lut ku leer ko south of malut ku paladar area biya worker wone la koy wone la lui ke ge lo kuna la da war to ke jel ten so yene solution de ka ken a che ku wich court la no to wijen court ela na de akuma wenne chi koy ping wa kuma woni yang e koy ke yena leyen court lakini a chi jongi kene wa kuma gam na di ke department ka ke ka beloy create ka chen ku wi court so a defend na ale akuma kule loy insist ata court that wa chi bulu ya bi atong lano koy ke area kene they fed out etio gonna be etio kayen ade nam solution de apiole the lui ko je tok yani ko ke civil service ku jola professional ku jola yena kuma bi loke ko loko kun ko etawon yen lo bi ka business yan business ade yi risk min bi tan ka waja bi pinga ke de oil ku jol dante de oil de chemical ku ke de chemical nyaay ke nyaay very serious a ke ko loy lano de yi we ko you work when la lui that pi kulu year ka ba yen daman biran taw kay ci berere ten ba bela vacation ku bela teme ku bayum piet ba bela lui biya ko won so yen kana yen ka wona yen taw ka kana a solution de yen ko wedi abako jiten ku weta kale jaret
I Erbil go koro bet ke well. There's nothing else. I can make get to Queen Loy Bangulu, ke well. But we need 2%. Where is 3% and 2%? Where is it? I keep on
actually just 2%.
Exactly.
Actually just 2% that to occur. We go. Yani ke ka equipment when bika or your loy ku bika or your loy protect the government can fund money into that project. Where's management company?
I agree with you. Even that 2% it doesn't come.
Yeah, more than that. So ako ka resource be a kuma karang loy.
Kata ki kene ke well ki gam oil producing area ban get total of 5%. But 5% ni ja ben break down into 2% get your local state government. When oil low thing. A can make a services ko low ke kuma. Lakin 3% is designated to counties unte ke oil jo lui. A can be a services unte be environmental protection low ku yika ka piu ko services can je ke wuji dike jo low. Lakin we ko da to ka che kon ben ke ye gor yo ku cham ki wa yo ko lo for tadi ka yu ke lo wa no ga with the immediate effect lo we ka bi lo account lakini man ko ro go jan ya ru wen lo we ko lo wala ko lo wala I don't know about Malutu. It's the same thing. So why are people playing game here?
Achewe kege doing a company yen kon buy when a look foreign company when a more professional book buy. So where will
kana we damanu ina bak in ran nam janam de buy ina ba company yo la buy ni company la buy di ki we ko na lalu beje de ko
my yen ka taw man knowledge of for pay dit no kai ko so ra guden go gem ke we ka bo ke
ma yen ran de knowledge ban o ju we ye bo o ju we environmentalism ka ba ki man yin ni propose ene te de ka a very comprehensive strategy ki ti le to propose. So can have well, me again a discussion who got expertise, the big band, they will talk about it. I call health professional, I call environmentalist, I call no when I call geologist, I call I wouldn't get expertise in petroleum. Who I wouldn't dare appear and them talk get any Professor Jim the Jogma. Would ya I wouldn't a civil society, big band will contribute. So can I have a lawyer, a jam of it. Quick, wouldn't you propose one of the solution? A chan environmentalist wiki, a chan big pinya karang, big land peeling, big alloy. Who will talk about dispose? Because environmental inspection, big alloy. To protect the water source, to protect the soil, to protect the atmosphere. When in a breathing air, and you know, can I get London? So they have to do it with the collaboration of health ministry, which allow petroleum, who can environment. You see, everything will get along.
Kujala koi ko forest kaman, we koi ko forest kaman, la no koi forest.
You get environmental, koi environment happen.
Okay.
Right. Very good. Santino Majur, which are late.
Ada benang kita bakam dan Martin, anong kita bakam Martin.
Ini kan Santino, but then James
before kita
kubiyo ko ge Daniel Mabior ci ben del taw in contact we yenu der ci nan gat lebati mo ko gada
kai gado kirun ne jogo yenda ban kirun ne kai gado
ana we ke e kul min ga log boy ban ka na we je ya mara ka ja ku bigin ni dilam ya some of them ke ko ke wa ke chol bigin ni too.
Are you going to host the same show like this?
Yeah, I can number studio chiri so ko balo mi agbalo request kind of be request for the karanga ba lo host on my studio now you will be my co-host win bit on the forum again and I can give him the platform, you see. The way we go ben just to come and host people in my studio achani ni chinam studio ke jo jamwan libi studio jo loy so in said amen lo prepare chana de ka ken ko ben ga jamti ke ka ba lo ho yan mo volunteer tomorrow or Sunday book your team availability de
pala war ka dera antum ne bilwel ka ki gwaja
o ke to ko ne ke to ni chi chak ba lu lo ga or ken ka ban chantino bi jo ben jala mo yin ko book your ko wo ta kale wakto
taban wama wacha belechi wabe ye fursa taban kene topic the citizen of Southern Sudan ko do yin pek years to come o gal buga join by achanke bu panda bu coin kadi ku buga ba kuma da bu coin kadi barak machin ko yukusin but we still are citizen Southern Sudan kwa chingu tu ya kwa kwa kele balwel ti chok ben topic kid kane o kal moy kal o jeng wal nong randa ci be ben ti mi ngara ci ben tin kene o yal we a ci corona virus o ku ben o ku rangong o ku kita e ben e ci ko chambe so an no ti no ngem wede ti ben ye topic en jam ok tin ko galo bugaro da control la chani ci la ba wed ne ba man mo bi la jero ci la ben yal ko ku lel ko ben e kene junu ben lel ko ga chin different le o tin bala ben ye e bala lo be yon be kadi
no
ano wede te ja dag po ano wede te ja dag po o ku lel ko ben e kene junu
Van den a yurin da van ki yelet nga jayin de ko karam kini go toy karam wonte go dalo doj ben
No,
mano ki
no,
to
you kadang ki
ako ni baja ben
American.
ode
Bill look your ina padang, but your name is American. I'm late because son so I walked to call. A ling the evaluate download, so I didn't know either. I try just a regular focus. You should invite me right away and then I can enter, but different process.
I'm not using the Facebook I'm using the Streamline.
I didn't know, yeah, so they're different than others, the choice.
Yeah, en ka ci jangi na miak ku be ku yen lo ile miak or Sunday ke dialangi that's how to enter on the studio.
Yeah, I know it now.
Yeah. Ci lu struggle rek kwa yen male santino mi jam de tonam ku wala ba de ngo ti ba ping to ku de lo il mi vale jam dale ja ku ten ba jam manam ko
ano kete ya bas ya kete na bija kin ya ga na banja tatin ba do go wala bu ro lo professional a jani na tatan ku lwele kidia ku lwele kin ta Sudan ku lwele kin motan ta Sudan bad na zil ke ye chola jani ne bu kuraj bu la tem ku taw ku tin
No, before me Santina Louis conclude, so an boy late kagadang bagur. So Santina ran bedang kalwat, so Santina will waping can gadang batio kasa, inara antong judong. Plus Bila Luka, I know, and Bila Luka ya loe gabalo jamde.
o ga dai
But
pe
I
kete
get
o go
to
ben wa o ga ya jo ni pe kete cho lo ya kwa lo yimbi lu lo nga ku yi ku support because the kete na ben lo ku na ba
no,
panda
kadang Iran. This
kayen
wrong
abe kete wat
in a
kene
wrong.
aba pol
No,
wat
around hold on image in 1 month. I just support. We are not support each other. I can watch you to coin order coin a guide. So I'll well a level can help. So most know it a jalaba we any yellow well who can ping Kayana son you more to come tomorrow and sangater who can I chopping. Can you be mind down book quite mind down given you water up. So make it when he be the look you by. Quite out the water fi South Sudan. wa ye to man gang to ta je ben ka maras ti man chi piu ben ku petrol ya big deal so ay lum ti kor so Sudan je lo bil ke
No, and
petrol
agree. And agree ka be look.
chi nyale
And
a chi nyale so ay ben yi nga jam so ka kana chi du wo lui wo jam aga
wa
so
madde
ay man da ni mon jang tor ko mon jang bo tor so don't throw it son aya ben fi live bil look fi live wo mon jang ka deng yi
no.
lwel ku yi
I check it wa
e
I
yi
check it
deng
wa
ler
mad.
a che dai ne mo ti ne ler won ma ta ma kwan no ku chi dai ke le bi ting chu ku bi tor chu ku chi dai en ke na ta pi wa ben fi jongle a ben fi afanal a cha wor che ba wa mara da ben ku bitro yi na sa ngul ga lui use to bitro ba le ka bitro chuk to ko chiran be jam bitro aye kidi den jam bitro kidi da ngak to why you don't call it jana san so anakot wache piri koy juba pata libin jamti so anang monjang so aye bitol bu guto gal tiuk to tomenti uchi bediam so ken ye na ka chalbi ku yen ke baler bi bitol ngor ga to ku piu ata pin e kana libi monjang guto ai ran to bet ku wache di so do ko be jam yi kir je dio kir 70 kana sa ano mo 47 milki ato 15 20 piri yen piri yen ye toyni jaketi we jam ya kwani wol wan yi baltina wol wan jila amerika e we ba wo jam de cholo so cholo che cho tu so e bi le luga jam etene kulende galwel ke bitrol awo ko wo tingdu o tingi nyandu o men nga awo o nyan bi mendu tiaga lu wo wala din nyamen ti koktem mi wana ge kwaro monjang wo chi ko je kok bi ko nyo ti
mi
wol
ka che ka ye ke chwar we wa na chen ni jeng ji
o no
da
ka
de
o no
ga
iben
chi
wo
ge
nga
ti
chi ka na
ka
e
wa
nya
ja
ga
ne ka mu
monjang
mi ka che
a che pi
tu ka mu
ka pa chat so kan wi ben fa ni Sudan chane kire ne jam chan we cham aya yu yin mon bargazal san so ko ye mon wel we to do ran jam so bargazal di jam to mi cham
no
ba to mi cham
era na get ke ra na yiru lai
wo bo ke ga to mi cham chi man yo wo ke ko wo diet diet ke ka gwer wen ka yab wen yi ga ko ngo ku yi gon ku ngo ku chwor ka bu ko dia lo wa mo nya wo no wo ru dia no so ya yo chi ko a cha ko bar to ko mi na pa dang ko ku yen marat ben wo a chi ju ya fa so kene bi jol wa ran dun cho san din on ko
ai ye na fit ding
Chapter
ayo
jam
ge
den.
top da ne che ke
no
de tie da
akin ko
tin
jam chan yin ni bi jal ku kadang bu gur ku yen balwat wo
ai
bi jala ben
to
mi
mi ya tin lo in ba de ding mi ja ben mi ya ben mi yan bi
all
jam
right
yo
I
kan ta
I
pa de
didn't
tin no ko je ten ku yen bag nom ge ka pyo de
what do I
ding da da a chin political
yeah
tension ta ten ba chin ke ko mo ja eh
concord
no
da.
ayo
wo ke
ko a jiro
yo
lo ma
ki
lu
wo
ban
ke wo
ya
mai
tin
wachin
Concord
wo mai
they
wachin
look they look.
ali
And
ali
uncle
ali
the
ali
wo
leg
mai
and uncle
wachin
the
wo
ya
mai
yu dulu
wachin
tiada dua nabi
Concord and uncle the
ya
leg
lo ko lo
day.
ko
And uncle
le
the leg
lo
with the alcade. And uncle
lo
no wo mai
and uncle
wachin wo
will
mai
jal
wachin wo santina
and uncle will be jalcade.
lo tu
Awalan
ga
ti awalan anaki jamambin monjang burano ko monjang do nya inom. Ali ka ali uni mukene. Oga jaman monjang amadi biatok. Biatok ni kulwel. Ka lwel.
yes
Do cha lwel
ne
yin.
to li
Chak yin le bay
ye ngu
yo
ye
ka yin le bay
lwel mo
ti
nya
ben. Kultu.
a chi ba ke mo
Kongo
nya ba no
kona
ye ngu
waje
ye
ping.
lwel ya ma lwel
Kongo
we
waje
ba
ping.
ping ya
Ene kila ping imani na tiye. Cha gwa kan yo kultu ko yodi jamal yet. Wala yodi wong yet.
in jam wo jam ka win bi ke lwel che go ya
Ba so
go
ala kidya. Yin cha
edang
ti
edang lay ku jole lay so kaka chu ko ba wo jam kaka monjang ata monjang ato ko monjang yitor wo jam ka wen yen
ma
san
ina monjang
so
man ba okay
duela
ka
jama
kede de.
gisad win
Ka kede de
ke
ya wadi.
gisad ya ga lo shi gisad shi Achie wasut
ka ka
achie
de
yi
je wed
che
ya
balwel
yi
agwa che kong yor mon jamal yet ye tong
okay
jang ye tong jang
oh
le balwel yena gwa che kong
abija
yor
to
jamal
ngso
yet pandun
ma
balwel yena sa ke chiga ma biur
ma ne
tingu
gwada
ke
kana ken
chikir
ti ken
wo
ye
yung chin kire nyuot ku gara ma biur balwel ke chiga ma biur wel ki kar ki ya agwa no par piwi ke jaman ye tong
ayi
jang jo
ayi
po
ka
da
ci garang
bagama
mabor ka ci ko woje man lu ku bugo kwene
ya
ka ci garang mabor woje
yung
tin garang mabor kin ka ci wo
tinga wot kwa chi be gari jena jamina ta in jamo gana gari
ala ana ke la garang ka la do e yina ci law ina yani ti
in
man ta
jamo
ka
gana
yo
gari ata yin wonyen yin wo bi da luga yang abi gara ma biyor en ki chi ki li long nom pinya umar ki chu nga to gata umar chi wi ya ka be
ini
ka
ya
di
ku
che
man
chim ba chim en
e yi
ba
mo
wa
bor
jam
man ka
ka
yi
da
mo
cham
an
chi
tu
pinya
je
ko
ba yi de
tur
bu ja
ka
jamo
ga
ni
cham
ro o ga yi
ha
boro de man yi mo an tu ga yi mo an bor
Antino,
cha
Oguja,
de da mo jang wara
Yin,
an tor ko yong ina de ran chi ben ko an ran chon
when they
ding
are
a
you,
yu
you can
dan
cover a lot, right? We will get better, and I respect you.
la yo wa
Kachin
chin mi
kilo
kila
ngita en.
no
a ci ke
Kaya
che
wer
tro
ko
ja
de
rana
ben
agi gana
no
luela, I
cho
chin
jam
creative
it's
thing.
okay
Kachin kilo,
no
chin kaya go
open
for.
mind. No,
Aja
e
yo.
jam ya
a
go
ci
yi
ka man
jamal.
tin dan yen ko ci de za to ka ga yi ke
No, e ko wike ko chi ya kwa ni wol. Ke ka wike yin ta ko pingri run. Jo
You
ka
ma
know,
yin.
yen
and
ne
then
men
I
jaban ku
you
kiche
we don't need to go wala
kide
bayre into the
kiche
valley
kide
to
ne
No,
talk.
men
yin
wa
ta
den
kwa
ku
ko
den
rin
en
ta
tin
kwa ta ping yindi.
Huh?
ke ko
Na
ji
ta
ke
na
ni
ta
ku
na
ke
ta
ka
na
yi
ta
ke
na ta na mal mal gernya. Cha a wi diar e diar ga wi ke nyan ken min ta kwa ni wol. Kete. Ali wi ke to ye chok.
Ni kira kwa ni wol ja mi chila ya. Kwa ni wol
No,
ne ne chi no yiga yin da
ma
da wuju ko ni chaga
e
yin ke brother de yin de nga
ke
yin. Alo a chaga
ra
$50
do.
alo to yin. Jan
No,
gara la ko.
ni
ayi
when you want to do
ayi ko anyende
Eh?
ayi ko anyende ayi ko anyende because yana yi ko an lan ke ando lan yi ko an kin kan
ye kwanya wit ko ye kwanya wit wa ka che ki du na wit ko
ma
ki
so
ma
ala
ye
kan
ni
ke
wit ko u ki wit bu
e
te
yina
mu
yi
ki
Ako
ko
wi
wit
da
te
yin
ba
da
wa
duka
kir
we
da
yin
do
ga check.
e yina yi ko lan yi yini ke kwang kita yini ke kwang liade yini la kwang wari e
no
pa mu
ana
wadi
kwang
ne
motor what so ki da bu bi no ka ju ta pa
kan ke ke ja
ki to ngi wo kan ju lo ti a che
a ci
Yen
luong
yen
okay, yin bi la look.
yeah.
a ci
Yin bi la look yi cham do pa cho kadang cho rantini cho tur wede ko an ji ko ko
kayen
an
de
ja
lu
respect you mi ga ya mi.
Jam
kayen
da
de
ko
lu
je
ka
de lo
baja
kito.
tiyo ko ano yom do kita yen meden ka
Joram.
baja tiyo bi bu ja jam tin kulda kayen na baja tiyo kan chodu aka ya we ke
I
yi
will
ki
let you
ni
know
de
tomorrow if you schedule lo ya. In
agwa
chalo
ga de ro
invited
ko
by
ro ya
Chatino, ya yin ban de nga yur, lo ko
Yo
jazz tomorrow
anje
ko
link
bija
link
ram.
link link do different than others, yeah. Two different. So
Ngena
link is
inti
different from
man
any TV.
kre stream ya are kana. Kre
Yeah,
stream
link
ya.
is different from any TV, yeah. So
Ke
kayen
ye na
wa
pia
abram
dai.
de
Ai kidi
wa
yeah,
ko
che
so
ja
what
che
be
you
rom
call?
ya
kwa che
Yeah,
book. I'm not using I'm using
yeah.
10 tasks.
Have a good night, bye.
Guram nyaga.
Una.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Chale.
Yo tiong nom tin ya. Okay.
Ai ba tiyo. Yen pet kale ko ka dai kono lekum to ga yong yak dan schedule lo mi ko junte professional expertise in the field of the health, environmental protection, as well as the petroleum or geology, which you wrote yokulum yakachirika, Kokujo, that big show, gonna book your jam, all the detail. We will define the problem with our oil pollution, and then we will talk about the effect with our oil, and then we will actually make a conclusion based on how the recommendation take a good solution by to the environmental pollution. So can I channel late and I'm looking forward for your attendance tomorrow and contribution. We will check it. Have a good night. Thank you, everybody.